If you're
What?
Kufrul, if you're within like 6 feet, you can't see what you're drinking.
No, I don't know about any of that. I don't. I
You
don't.
don't partake.
No, I don't believe in COVID.
You shouldn't. It doesn't believe in
I
you.
haven't. I haven't for years. I've been trying to catch it actively, and we're live.
Can I tell?
We're
Oh,
live.
Tom, can I tell you? By the
Yeah,
way,
go
I
ahead.
can't see you at all. I can't see your screen. I
Oh, you
can't
know
see
what?
anything.
I can fix that real quick.
Yeah.
See, this is what happens when we were goofing off before the show. Instead of we were talking about Delta Burke, and you
I
were
was gonna
trying
say
to.
for everybody listening, I was educating Tom on Delta Burke and the cast of Designing Women, so he would understand a joke that I made, and
Jerry
it
goes
didn't
to
work.
great lengths to make it so that I understand his jokes because some of his jokes are lost on me because honestly we just don't have our Venn diagram of shit that we know
Right.
is for the most part it covers one another. We have this big
Yes.
Diagram area, but there are some slivers, and when that happens, he'll go to great lengths to make sure that I understand the reference. Whereas
Yeah.
me, if I say something and somebody doesn't get it, I'm like, well, that's your loss because I only
It's like,
tell
never
jokes.
mind.
I only tell
Right.
jokes because I want to make myself laugh. I don't really give a shit if you think it's funny or not. Uh,
Tom tells jokes for him. I tell jokes to win back my own self-worth. That's what. That's what.
well, that's why I also tell jokes to win back your self worth, Jerry. that's
Well, good, and I hope you're winning better than I am.
I am not because here's the problem. It's like asking, uh, you get one of those guys who gets caught up in To Catch a Predator, and then you ask them to
Mm.
babysit or whatever. Like those are not the people that you ask to babysit, right? Like you wouldn't come to
No, that's
me and
true.
ask me to win back your honor, your comedy honor, your humor
Right.
honor.
That
Uh,
makes sense.
yeah, I hope that reference. Do I need to explain what To Catch a Predator is, or did that reference go?
Dude, all right, look, I have to admit this. You yet again opened me up to more catching predator channels, and the latest I can't stop watching thanks to, uh, well, I guess I should say his obnoxious fucking nature and his inability to stop asking the same question 30 times would be People versus Preds,
Oh yeah,
because
yeah.
he talks shit to cops in the same way as he talks shit to the predators, first of all, which is just hilarious to me. And then, that, I don't care who you are, that's fucking funny. And then, secondly, the fact that and I don't know how you feel about this. Maybe you can give me some insight. I understand that you have to try to get people to stop doing it, whether they are, let's say, a rich person in a nice house, someone who's poor, someone in the middle. But I have to admit, when he ends up getting into it with like actual crazy people, crazy homeless people on Skid Row, I I have to. I'm like, look, I understand. I'm accepting this because the way that he's getting them help, sort of, is this way. But it's like, all right, look, I have to recognize that. All right, here's this like quote unquote vulnerable member of society, right, or someone who you just go, wow, holy shit, how do you even have a phone, right?
Right.
But then, and you go, wow, how could you be picking on this? Not picking on this guy, because obviously they did terrible shit. But you understand, like when you see that there's a guy who clearly hasn't eaten in a while, he's on methamphetamines. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not a healthy person living on the street. You go, fuck, man, I know he did bad shit, but this is, I mean, it's a homeless person.
And
And
he
then
calls
you
him a
have,
piece of shit scumbag.
yeah, and calls him a piece of scumbag, and you go, oh yeah, he is though, because no matter how crazy, like whatever cover you want to give them for being crazy, the fact is they're
They tried to fuck a
crazy.
kid. Yeah.
Right, their crazy turns into trying to get a kid to come back to their tent on Skid Row and fuck him in the ass. Like that's
Mm.
just how they're. You know what I mean? They're not just like, I'm really crazy. Do you want to hang out, 15-year-old? I will teach you how to grow a tree. Like that's not
Yeah.
how. That's not what happened. You know?
If that was, you'd feel a little bad for him. Maybe you'd be like, well, you can't be doing that. But
Right. It's
still,
like it's not. It's not
you're
your
not going
kid.
to
You
call
shouldn't
them
be.
necessarily a piece
Yeah.
of shit scumbag for trying to teach this kid agriculture. You know,
Right.
it'd be
Yeah.
weird,
Exactly.
but
Yeah. It's
still.
like that's a really weird way to lure a kid out of a house, but at the end of the day,
Like I said, and I've said this.
I'm sorry, Tom. Hold on.
Are you gonna make it? Is the apocalypse happening?
Okay, no, now it makes sense. All right, look. For those of you who've been watching the show long enough, you know my situation. I'm in the basement. I'm hiding all my dad toys behind me by using stupid background screens.
This week
And
it's Tatooine. It looks like.
yeah, this week it's kind of touching. And then above me is my wife and daughter sleeping. Okay, almost directly above me. So I started hearing, Tom, just now, like bang, bang.
Well, I heard it too.
Bang! And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Well, my neighbors, who, I mean, my neighborhood, I've shown you pictures, Tom. You could pretty much get an idea of how close our houses are together. They're lighting off fireworks, even now. On not even July 1st, they're literally lighting off fireworks practically outside my house. So I had to take off the headphones to recognize, oh no, that's not someone consistently falling upstairs on the hardwood floor on their head. That is someone, lighting off fireworks within 10 feet of my house.
Yeah, at 9 o'clock at night, not even in the month that we celebrate the independence of our.
That's right.
So,
yes,
and that pisses me off a great deal. I mean, like, I'm all for celebrating our nation's independence, but like,
sure.
It's either, if it's in June, let's hold it off, save those fireworks until next month, and you'll have more, right? It's like spending all this money you have, like, as you get it, your allowance, you spend like the $5 here, you spend the $5 there every week, and then at the end of the year, your brother has, I don't know, whatever 5 times 12 is, $60 or whatever, and and he's able to go out and buy a video game, and you only have $5, right? So you're like, well, if you wait and you save your fireworks until next month, you're gonna have a bigger firework display. So
yeah. Well, it's also about the emotion too, right? Like, if you, like, say for example, if you invite a bunch of people over and grill outside, like on July 2nd, and then you invite the same people over on the 4th, it's not as good of a party. You just did this. Like,
yeah, I'm not going over to anybody's house. Like, there are people, I have friends who have invited me over. I believe it or not, I do have friends. And they have invited me to their house, and that's it. Right? Like, one time. Right. You get one time with me per year, maybe 2 years, because I don't like to go places, and I sure don't like to go to people's houses. Like, I don't even like to go, if people invite me, hey, let's go out for dinner, let's go out for drinks or something. Okay, just write this down. This is your one time, okay? Because we're not doing this more than once in a year. I'm not going to your house more than once in 2 years, okay? That's just not happening, because I hate that. I don't even like going home to my mom's house, right? Because I just don't like being at other people's houses. And, so when somebody's like, hey, come over on the 2nd, we're having a barbecue, and then also, which on, I don't know, like a Friday, and then the 4th is on Monday, and you have the 4-day weekend, they're like, hey, come over on the 4th as well. I know we're off, so you can come over. Why don't you come over and we'll light off some fireworks? I'm like, no, I believe we did that on the 2nd, if I remember correctly, because everybody's doing fireworks on the 2nd, on the 3rd, on the 4th, on the 5th, on the 19th, on the 21st, on the 30th, on the following month, the 15th. It goes on forever. So it's like, let's just do it all. And
now that you brought that up, and I agree with you, what is worse to you? You don't have to, I'll even just ask you, I could take my question off air if you want. What is worse to you in terms of, like, people not letting go of the holiday, or maybe celebrating more days? Okay, so, some people, they'll have Christmas and then not take their tree down until February 14th, right? Or maybe or the 15th. They're like, oh no, keep the tree up. It's so romantic.
Keep it for Valentine's Day. Yeah, you gotta leave the mistletoe up, right?
Right. Well, that one is always on my belt, motherfucker.
Nice.
Thank you. Yes, class on this show. Class. No, so
this used to be a G-rated program.
No, come on. What? How many years ago was that?
2017. Probably the first episode when Dustin and I were actually trying to be, like, watchable or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you could bring your kids to You Had Me at Bigfoot.
No, guys, we're going to be serious about this. So, hey, Dustin. Hey, what's up, man? How was your weekend? Really nice, actually. Can we talk about something supernatural? Yes, I agree.
We're going to talk about alien race wars. No, we did 2 episodes that were serious, and then we did no, so it was the first episode was Alien Race Wars. The second episode was so the first one we talked about all the different races that supposedly exist, and then the second one was we invited a ghost hunter on because I'm like, I've been out of the ghost hunting game for like a decade, so I don't know. Let's see if we can bring somebody on and they can tell us about.
Ghosts could be hunting you back. We don't know.
Yeah, and yeah. I don't know where I was going with that. I had a funny joke and I lost it like as soon as I started saying it. But no, and then so we brought this ghost hunter on, and he explained some of the equipment and shit, and so we were very serious, whatever. And then the third one, some guy who thought that he was abducted, he came on, and we kind of like were cutting it up with him, and we were laughing and having a good time and picking on him and shit. And that's kind of when it started to be funny. And then we had Matt Squatch come on, and Matt Squatch was, Matt Squatch. He's just very.
Oh, sure, he was on my old show. We used to cut it up. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, he's very like matter of fact. Like when you ask him a question, he's going to give you a serious answer or whatever. So with him doing that, Dustin and I had to kind of like, be goofy or whatever to kind of counterbalance it. And so that's when it became what it is today, with us just cutting it up and being funny. And, then,
by the way, for those who don't know, Matt Squash is the reason I ever went onto your show or even knew about your show.
Because he's like, I gotta go on this show with these two jackasses that always call me an asshole.
Did I ever tell you this? Essentially, I had asked him to come on the old show, FOJ Live, and he was like, yeah, cool. And so we had a good time on the show and everything, and because he figured out that it was comedians doing this subject matter, he goes, oh, you should talk to the You Had Me at Bigfoot guys. I think you'd really like them and get along. You could go on each other's shows and stuff. And that's exactly how that started.
And we invited you to come talk about Skippy and then get us in trouble and kicked off of YouTube.
That's right. I think percentage-wise, I've gotten you and your show into trouble more often than any of your other hosts could combine, like percentage of success.
Well, you're the only one. It's the episode. No, I would say I know one of them was you, and then the other one was when V and I really laid into the trannies on that one where if we were running for president, what we would do, and like one of the things was like eliminating trannies. It's something along those lines. So
right, yeah.
Yeah.
But remember we got our show dropped twice. So we got, when I was the co-host, it got dropped, and then there was the Skippy one. So that's 2. I mean, I could go for 3. I don't know.
It got shut. It got shut down right when we did the transition from V to U, and that's why, because we were getting ready. Remember, we were getting ready to kick it off, and then it was a YouTube business.
Yes,
2
that's
weeks.
Right. Yeah, it was a YouTube business week.
Yeah, that's why. So you have been affected by the ban, the YouTube ban, twice now on this program. So
I've actually had 4 shows get canceled because of YouTube bans that I've actually been able to do. That's how bad it's been. I can't believe it.
Jake Hoop says, yeah, same here. If it weren't for Matt Squatch, I would have never found out about You Had Me at Bigfoot. It's so funny because he's like his show or whatever, when he would do the videos, was so factual. Like, it was as close to fact based as you could be with a show about, or talking about Bigfoot and shit. But like, he was very serious, and he was just like, here's some pictures or whatever, here's what I think based on the scientific blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden he comes on to our show and we're like, hey, Matt Squatch, how big is Bigfoot's penis, do you think? Like, how big a load does he shoot? Right? So like, and we would make him answer those questions. Dude. And then sometimes, and then he even had his own, like, he was in a movie, he was on that documentary.
Oh yeah.
So he's got like IMDb credits now, and we had him on after that, and we treated him like absolute shit. Like, we were like, hey, come on and talk about the chupacabra. And he comes on, and we end up talking about V's dating profile for the full 2 hours while Matt Squatch sits in the background washing dishes. So it was like, I love Matt Squatch. He's such a good sport about it too, because he's just like, we know he's way more important than we are, but even in like the paranormal community, and
dude, I'm looking at his channel now.
He's got all this other shit going on, and he'll still come on and slum it with us whenever we invite him on.
Yeah, dude, like, okay, so he literally, I'm pretty sure, he used to do almost a show a week, or like a video a week, something, right? Mm-hmm. He was pretty prolific, I guess you would say, for a minute there. And then he cut it down, subject matter got serious. I don't know, it was weird, right? And I just kind of stopped. I lost track of him basically, and I'm looking now. He still has 27,000 subscribers, and yet he went on FOJ Live, which had like 10, and this show,
And he comes on here.
Tom.
You're gonna make the announcement. I have an
no,
announcement to
no,
follow.
no.
Please,
I am
you
not.
do it.
No. I am not the host. You are the. You've
We
been
are,
working
this is
on
a
this.
team. No, this is a team effort. We couldn't have crossed this hurdle if not for you, Jerry. And I want you to announce it.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, the time has come. The year of our Lord 2022. On this June 29th, aka the new 4th of July.
That's why they're lighting off fireworks next door.
That's right. I should have made the connection. You Had Me at Bigfoot has officially reached for long enough for it not to drop back down immediately. But here on the show, you could see 700 subscribers. Ladies and gentlemen, Tom, congratulations. You've been working at it longer than me, obviously. But thank you, everybody. 700.
We basically
Tom,
accrue...
Speech.
Well,
speech.
Okay, I'll deliver the speech by saying that I think the number comes out to we accrue 100 new subscribers every year. So we've been doing this for a long time now. If you do the math, that would be what, 7 years now? No, we actually started in 2017, and we have now crossed this threshold.
So you've done well. Like 125.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm happy with that. I think a lot of those subscribers are dead accounts now, but I am not going to downplay this victory. And I will say that anybody who is curious about if they can send screenshots, Mike in Manitoba has already sent me a screenshot. He said it. Jerry and I were talking before the show, and I just so happened to look down at my phone. It buzzed right as we were going live, and Mike had sent me a screenshot saying, "Am I first to send a picture as proof? I get a prize, right? Congrats on the 700 subs, brother." So, yes, Mike in Manitoba gets the sought after, what was it, a shower curtain, I think? So I owe Mike a shower curtain.
I think so.
Of his choosing. 700.
Mike can get fancy.
Yeah, you can get the Mike in Manitoba one. You could get the J Coob one. You could get the what are some other gross ones? Oh, I wish we still had that one from the Wayfair that got taken down. We had a Wayfair a Wayfair design that got taken down, and it was a picture. What it was a picture of a cabinet and like a big, like a tall wardrobe cabinet or whatever, and it was open. One of the doors was open, and there was like a doll inside of it. And like a rag doll, and the arm was hanging out, but you could tell that it was a doll, like a stitched together doll. And then it had V's quote, "It's a dangerous game trafficking kids" or something. and it got taken down off of Redbubble.
It may be dangerous, but apparently it also only gets you 20 years.
Yeah, that's not bad at all. And I will say this about Ghislaine Maxwell, and this is going to be my official position on the matter until otherwise noted.
Right.
I think that justice failed an innocent woman. Hear me out. I think
haven't said that innocent woman was Ghislaine yet, so I guess
no. It was. I think that Ghislaine Maxwell, based on what we know, is innocent, and the justice system has unfairly tried and sentenced an innocent woman. And I say that only because what evidence have we seen that she committed any of those crimes, Jerry?
Seen. Well, okay. So I guess the first part in the seen category would be that the trial was not televised. So, and none of the information from the trial were released either. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, even if it existed, we're not being told.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
So
there could be, stack of just a, twin
Matt Squatch
twin towers high, Oh yeah. Oh, holy shit! Hey, there he is.
Yeah, he heard his voice called 3 times like Beetlejuice, and he showed up.
Wow. So back to back. Okay. So all right. So here's the thing. I was sitting here going, I wonder what's going to be the celebration from parts of the community, right? Like, is it going to be a bunch of people going, "Hey guys, congrats, you got 700," or is it going to be a bunch of dirty emojis, or basically the
Either one
Discord
would be
group
fine. Yeah.
exploded, right? That kind of thing. And instead, so far, anyway, we've had a, a paranormal celebrity. Is that the best? I don't know.
I would
A
say
par-
just celebrity in general. I wouldn't even
a
try to
ce-
pigeonhole him in the paranormal
okay,
community.
that's right. I mean, he's a okay. So a celebrity joins the chat at the same time as the hello and recognition of someone is literally, "Hey guys, I'm nursing."
Mm-hmm.
Sup? And so, all right, it's like, "Oh, we got 700. What's everybody's reaction?" "Yo, I'm feeding my kid with my pubes."
And then a celebrity shows up.
And then a celebrity shows up and he's like, "Hey, how's
You know
it
what
going?
I think she's
There's a
doing?
party."
You know what I think she's doing though is she's really just rubbing it in the face of people who have had abortions, right? Because A, they can't do that anymore in most places.
That's true. That's true.
And B, I'm sure there are times where the thing about abortion, you understand, is they say it leaves one dead and one injured, right?
Right.
They say it leaves one dead, one injured, and it's true because women are
who's
left. Yeah, the baby is the one that's injured, and the mother is dead. It's like one of those weird topsy-turvy world things where they're like, "I'm here for the abortion," and then they kill the woman, and then the baby.
Actually, Tom,
somehow
turns out it's the doctor who's both.
The doctor dies.
Yeah.
And in heaven, let's be honest,
injured first, and then died. Literally, Tom dies of his injuries.
It's the other way around. He dies, and then I was gonna say, and in heaven he ends up in like a wheelchair or something. But an abortion doctor doesn't go to heaven. We know that. That's scripture.
That's true.
Okay.
So Tom, let me tell you. Thank God you brought this up. Speaking of which, this is not part of the weekly whoopsies. I thought about it, and then I thought I don't want to get us in trouble, And then here you are talking about it. So here we go. Here's one. It's an early one. I didn't even work out the joke fully. But Columbus man sentenced for threatening abortion clinic and patient. When asked why they called the cops, the staff of the abortion clinic inside said, "Well, we're the only ones allowed to kill people around here."
Yeah, so that's a pretty good one.
It's not. I mean, it's. I feel like it's one of those fish in a barrel, obvious kind of.
Yeah, it was low hanging fruit.
Yeah, it wasn't. I just saw it and I thought, well, how funny is that, right? Like, if he only, like it says, he threatened a patient, right? And I was like, in your kit, like the joke you were just saying, there's one person injured, one person dead. Well, yeah, because it's like, all right, one person injured, one person dead. If he just had a doctor's smock on, he would have made $100,000 last year, right? Like, so.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He would
What do you think about abortion doctors? Do you think that let's talk about abortion doctors and let's try to be funny. Let's try to be funny with abortion doctors.
All right. Yeah.
So I think I need background information here on abortion doctors because I don't know. I don't know enough about them. I will say this: when on my birthday, Facebook asked if I was interested in like setting up a donation or like trying to set up a pledge drive or whatever.
Where
it's like, well, it wasn't like, "Hey Tom, we know you're like a huge deal on Facebook." It wasn't like that. It was, "Hey Tom, we're just trying to like milk some money out of everybody," and on their birthday.
By the way, did you hear that the feds are trying to take taxpayer dollars to fund abortion?
They've been doing that, right? I mean, that's
no. Okay. What I mean is, they because the courts said, "Oh, it just has to go back to the states or whatever." Elizabeth Warren and Ocasio-Cortez and all them have forwarded some kind of bill to essentially set up FEMA camp style areas in public parks. Like, in other words, like if you go, I guess, to Yosemite, right? So you go to Yosemite with your kids and you're like, "Hey, Timmy, hey, Pedro," whatever, whoever your kids, or if you don't have kids, whoever you're talking to. Hey,
Are you talking to someone else's kids?
yeah, you're just talking to someone else's kids. Remember, I told you you're a homeless person trying to teach them about
That's right.
agriculture.
That's right.
And
Let me
so,
show you how to grow a tree by this Planned Parenthood camp tent.
yeah, look, there's a Planned Parenthood. By the way, oh my God, dude. All right, so I'll get back to what I'm saying in a second. But I took the baby and the wife to the beach. We have this boardwalk in my town, and on Sunday when we went, they actually had get your jab tents set up, and I couldn't believe. I was like, there are people who still, you know what I'm saying? All you see is, Moderna threw out a billion jabs because no one wants them. This, that, and the other, and yet here they are still setting up tents, and there was a guy getting it, and so maybe... I couldn't help. Dude, I couldn't help myself, right? So I giggled really loudly in a rotunda where it like echoed a lot, and then my wife's like, shh. And I go, how else am I supposed to react to literally watching someone kill himself in front of me? Like,
by laughing.
Right? Yeah, it's like, whoa, I mean, you should know better. Look, it's not even like in the beginning where they were showing all those Chinese people dying, quote unquote, and you thought, right?
Well, that's what Chinese people do, right?
Yeah, they just, I mean, come on. Have you ever lived on nothing but MSG for 10 years?
I have never seen an old Chinese person. You know what I mean?
So, dude, all right. So now you're at Yosemite Park, right?
I'm just kidding. I've watched the new Mortal Kombat movie. I've seen Chinese people.
So, dude, you're at the park. You're at Yosemite, and you're waiting for the guys. Right? Because don't they have the exploding guys or whatever? And then off to the side, there's a brown bear giving birth, and you go, Sally, Jane, whatever your name is, I don't know you. You're not my kid. We were just talking about
we're
the
trying
trees.
To plant a tree. We're not here to.
We're just trying to plant the tree. Look over there. There's the miracle of birth right there. And look, the brown bear's father doesn't seem to be around, but I'm sure that's not.
He went to go buy a pack of bear cigarettes.
And he went to buy a pack of bear cigarettes and would be right back. Turns out you turn to your right. Right? So you got Geyser left, Brown Bear Birth Center. You go to 3 o'clock, and suddenly the brown bear's over there trying to get a late-term abortion for the thing going on in front of them.
Now, is this... So they're trying to set up...
Parenthood.
They're literally setting up tents like...
No, for real, yeah. That was... Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if it got funded. I don't...
But that's what they want. Is what they want.
Literally, it was either Warren or Cortez who was quoted as saying... We could utilize national parks which are public federally funded grounds to set up FEMA-like tent camps to provide medical services. Because, it's medical service. It's just generally medical services, which the Supreme Court said had to go back to the states. By the way, didn't eliminate it, everyone, but there's still choices for. I mean, I'm not. Advocate. I'm just saying it doesn't not exist. It still exists, just not in the way you want it to, is I guess what I'm saying. So yes, Tom, their answer to the Supreme Court decision was one proposal was setting up abortion FEMA camps in national parks to, I don't know, give them for free or whatever.
What an absurd thing. So that kind of goes back to my and I don't doubt that it's real, because that sounds exactly like the sort of thing Ocasio-Cortez and Elizabeth Warren, Warren would. I'm actually more native than she is. I found out thanks to my 23andMe, and I've never gone around and told people that I was Native American. So, Matt Squatch says there's only black bears in Yosemite. Also, I'd like to.
See, that's right. I didn't. Okay.
He didn't want to say black. He wanted to say brown because.
That's what I'm getting. You understand?
I would have gone with African American bears, right?
Dude, all right here. Washington Examiner, AOC and Warren's master plan: abortions at Yellowstone.
I wish we could abort.
There's the article right there.
They
do allow for any time after birth. I don't know if you can do that.
I wish we could abort both of them into a black hole. So I do want to clarify some things.
Excuse me. Black bear.
In an African American hole.
Oh yeah. Well, that's a whole.
Matt
That's
Squatch
a whole.
said nothing celebrates 700 subs with dead baby jokes. We are not joking about dead babies. There's nothing funny about dead babies. We're joking about dead abortion doctors, which
Right.
we'd like to see more of. And furthermore, Stephicus said that all aborted babies go to heaven, and
How could you all? By the way, how could you all donate your DNA to this 23andMe stuff? I mean, frankly, one of the companies is owned by Google. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
So here's the thing. I've already sold my DNA. I got rid of my DNA for free, right?
Yeah,
a long time ago. My stuff has been sold to
that's true.
countless parties. So at that point, it really didn't matter. And then also my wife, she was
your what?
My wife. My wife.
Thank you.
She was also a patient on post, so I'm sure they took her DNA and did God knows what with it. But and let's be honest, like most people who ever got swabbed for COVID, all their shit got sold too. Anyways, yeah. So but anyways,
I don't know here's sold, but anyway, sorry.
It was sold or given or used to create the next virus or whatever, to make it actually more deadly than this one was. But anyway,
well, they have announced already a couple times there are more pandemics coming. If you heard that from Biden, he said it like 10 times already.
I love a challenge, so I look forward to seeing what they come up with next. So no, but Facebook asked me if I wanted to set up a little donation thing for my birthday, where like some people, you can go on there and you can say, hey, would you like to donate?
Happy birthday, you can donate money and stuff, right?
Yeah, that thing. So I looked and I'm like, well, maybe there will be something worthwhile here, and I'll put it there. I don't expect anybody to donate. I hope nobody does, but I'll see if there's anything on there, just so I can like, I can pretend people can be like, oh wow, that Tom, he really does care about.
What a nice guy.
I don't know, whatever, the rover on Mars or something.
No, Tom, I remember exactly what you talked to me about doing, and this is, I know it's going to seem silly now since we've been corrected, but you were trying to raise money to bring brown bears.
African American bears, yeah.
I'm sorry. Yes.
Hindsight being what it is, I wish I would have known better.
It's a little silly.
I wish I would have talked to Jerry, or I'm sorry, I wish I would have talked to Matt Scotch about that. But no, I scrolled through it. I didn't see anything that I was interested in. It's got all like these actual. I say, oh, there was nothing I was interested in. It's like St. Jude's. And shit.
It's like
so
real
it's
shit.
Yeah.
St. Jude and whatnot.
Yeah. Oh, kids with cancer. Boo. No, thank you. But the what a downer. I don't want to celebrate that on my birthday. So now we're talking about dead baby jokes, Matt Squatch. Now, what I did end up saying was I took a screenshot of it, like, hey, would you like to set up a donation thing? And I put a comment saying, I would have loved to have set something up, but there was nothing in here that would have allowed me to encourage the violent vandalizing of violence and vandalizing against Planned Parenthood centers or something like that. And so I shared that, and I don't think it was well received among some of the more.
I'm going to assume no. I mean,
I've lost.
I don't want to speak out of turn.
Recent days because of all my shit talking that I've done about abortion. But I've lost a lot of friends, and some of them. It's so funny because my brother's ex-wife, who I was still like casually in contact with because like I would, I thought it was important to still be involved in their son's life or whatever.
Okay, extended family, sure, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and even though they were divorced and she's moved on, she's with some new guy or whatever, and I still like to at least we like to bring gifts to Lincoln for his birthday and shit, or for Christmas, and we like to be there for his birthday and celebrate with him, and he gets to play with the boys and all that shit. So it's important to have cousins and all that. She actually unfriended me on Facebook over this whole situation.
Oh yeah,
because she had posted that. And I'm sure you've seen it somewhere in social media where it says something along the lines of like, if it was really about the babies, birth or healthcare would be free. Healthcare for the baby would be free. If it was really about the babies, childcare would be free. If it was really about the babies, formula would be free, and all this shit, talking about how like everything should be free for the babies. If it was really for the babies, if we really cared about babies. And I posted a picture. I took that, that one orangutan sitting on like a talk show. Like there's 3 orangutans sitting in the seats or whatever. And they're like, it looks like they're talking to one another or they're questioning one of them. I wrote, if it were really about baby, why everything cost money? And I posted that on my Facebook, and after that, I haven't heard anything from her. So
Oh
I
no.
assume she got the message that I was referring to her as being as stupid as an orangutan, uh,
Now, Tom, can I
being
ask?
questioned
Looking.
about or about birthing a child and the economic system and just the economy in general. I hope
Right.
that she took it like that because that's exactly what I was trying to drive across. So go ahead,
Now,
Joey.
well, Tom, I have a real concern here. That maybe the information may have been, maybe the lines were crossed. Maybe things were misunderstood. And whether or not she got what you were saying, I don't know. And frankly, it's not my focus here. My thing is there someone that is your Facebook friend that speaks in emojis and remote control instruction manual to you? Could they have seen those three monkeys speaking in broken English and thought, is Tom talking to me about how to use my smart TV? That's
She
where I'm
well
this is where
she
I'm going with it.
No, she if
Are you
she were an
sure?
orangutan on a talk show, she would say, "Do you know how to use email? I can't work my smart TV." Is what hers
Right.
would have said.
Do
Matt
you
Squatch is
email? Here's
correcting
my
me in the chat
passcode.
here. He says orangutans are quite smart, which I'm not. I understand that dolphins are smart, but I'm also smarter than most dolphins, right? So like
Mhm.
I'm also smarter than most orangutans. I feel, right? I know there's probably like an orangutan
Right.
and a dolphin out there who like if we were in if they brought the smartest dolphin and the smartest orangutan, I
They can probably
might
talk.
I might have to like lean back in my chair and say, okay, well you guys go ahead and take this one because because I understand that there are probably some very
Tom,
smart
that's
dolphins.
dangerous. You understand because that
Giving
is,
power
and
to dolphins
I
and
don't know if you know
orangutans.
this. Well, I don't know if you know this. In all sincerity, I'm a bit of a history buff. I think you and I have discussed this a little bit off air, and I don't know if you know the War of 1812. Okay,
Mhm.
was actually decided because dolphins and orangutans finally talked to each other and created a land and sea offensive after negotiating with the.
With the
Okay.
African
All right.
American bears.
Oh, well, I mean, look, their territory was limited. We know they can't even go into the national park. So that wasn't really the focus
Well,
at the time.
they can, but they often get hassled by the park rangers.
That's true.
What are you
Yeah.
doing
Well,
out
you know
here
what?
after? You know this is a sundown forest, boy.
Is that your picnic basket, motherfucker?
Racist ass park rangers.
They really are. You had no idea. Yogi was just trying to live. No one's not. I mean, come on.
Well, Boo
If that
Boo,
was
he's just the
if that was
victim
if
of
that
his
was a polar bear
socio.
trying to if that was a polar bear trying to eat, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they would have left him alone for sure. But
They would
also,
just
let's
made
be
that a
fair.
viral video and done ice bucket challenges to raise money for their family.
Let's be fair. We don't actually. If you looked at statistics, the
Oh my
polar bear is less likely to. I don't know, any number of violent offenses. I mean, the numbers are there, right? The African American bears are the ones that you got to look out for. I don't feel like we need to delve too deeply into statistics, but this is from the FBI's Prime. The B in FBI standing for bear, of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
Can I just address Jake
Federal
Coon for a
bear
second?
investigator.
He's trying to legitimize the
Oh,
intelligence of
here we
orangutans.
go.
Okay. No. Here's the thing. I was literally just watching a homesteader video today, where the homesteader described an attack that their dog suffered from what their veterinarian believed to be a raccoon. And the reason I mention this is that have been studies on raccoons to show that they can learn to pick locks, drive 18-wheelers, because they also know how to grab ass, which has led to many, many raccoons being Me Too'd. But the point I'm trying to make.
That's why they have black eyes.
That's right.
What do they call that? um, why don't you tell a raccoon with two black eyes?
What?
I can't. I can't. My back hurts. Too bad I can't laugh at that joke. What do you tell? No, what is it? What do you tell a raccoon that has two black eyes? Nothing. You've already told him twice, right?
Oh yeah.
I can't laugh because it hurts my back so bad. That joke.
No,
I really wanted to tell.
I love that joke because you just like depending on who you want to offend, you just insert person. You know what I mean?
So we put raccoons.
No, dude, but like I remember I was driving, and this is awful. This is the kind of way I talk to my wife on nice scenic drives that we take. But we were taking a drive, and I don't remember. It was something about like contact. If you're being if you've been subject to domestic abuse, call us and tell us your story. You know, something like that. I don't remember. And I was like, why would they feel comfortable calling and telling their story when they probably got smacked for not shutting the fuck up when they told them anyway, right?
You know,
no, but and then my wife, you know, she just looked.
You're what?
You know, she laughed, but like she didn't want to laugh, kind of like she knows I don't mean it. You know what I mean? And but so it's that nasty like, all right, let the devil get out of your mouth joke kind of thing, and she's just like. And I go, what? Depending on how many black eyes she has, that's how many times you told her, or whatever. Like that, it was the extension.
And
she's
a busted
like, all right,
lip. Yeah,
that's
somebody who clearly needs to learn.
Yeah, a little self-control with the old lip. You know what I mean? Just cannot stop talking.
Yeah, don't even get me started. Like if she burns dinner or whatever.
Dude,
she's got bruised ribs.
Let me tell you something, my man. At least you tried to cook dinner. If you come home to an empty house and nothing on the stove, no.
So abortion doctors, Jerry. This is what I was.
Yeah, sorry. Let's get back to something a little safer to talk about. How about these?
So, abortion doctors. Now, okay. I don't know the education level of an abortion doctor. I can't imagine it requires. Does it require like a full? Did somebody go to medical school for however many years? I mean, and do their residency and their
do you want like a facetious answer
and
or
all that stuff? I want to know. I want to know something funny, and then I also want to know the real answer. So, do you have to go to medical school? Because I've seen some of these abortion doctors, and some of them look like they fell off the back of a bus, right? You know what I mean?
No, I'm glad that you asked because I've done a little research on my own. You know, because I thought, well, geez, this must be quite a sacred procedure that they're so worried about losing. Let me see what the whole bah humbug shindig is about, right? Like what the whole hoopla is, what the old whip bang is, you know? So I looked up the credentials, you know what I'm saying? Like a background. Oh, what you just type it in. It's not that hard. What credentials does a doctor covered in baby blood need, right? And you just kind of, and you go from there. And then
soul not required. Preferred,
right, yeah.
Right?
Well, you have to clarify first because I put that in, then I had to clarify like dead baby blood, you know, and then because if it's a live one, then they help birth it, right? Like so that's not fair. Yeah, then they're a real doctor.
It's got to be the other one, yeah.
Right, you have to go with the other. Well, because you can't just say baby blood, you can't because now it's unclear. So then, what kind of education does it? And you just put it into, you know, whatever Bing, and you get vacuum cleaner repair.
That's when my uncle could be an abortion doctor.
Is that true? Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, on his lunch break, you mean?
I have put together a vacuum cleaner, Jerry. I think I could be an abortion doctor. I'm seeing here the scarcity of abortion training in America's medical schools. This is an Atlantic article.
I was waiting for you to say it in the chat. I'm like, oh, here we go.
No. Many students who want instructions aren't able to find it, and I wonder why that is. You know, it's like, so there are these people. So there are sickos out there, right, who are like, I want to lead the charge on this barbaric act of slaughtering babies in utero. And I also, I want to be a doctor.
Not. I mean,
I want to be a doctor. I want to help people. But by helping people, by that I mean I want to shred fetuses and embryos using like those metal claws that they use for like tearing
Mm-hmm.
up pulled pork. I want to do
Right.
that to babies, and that's how I want to help people. So I want to spend the next 8 to 10 years
Mm-hmm.
going to school, making sure that I have good grades, and
Tom,
keeping
I
up
hate to say this, it's actually part time.
part time. What?
8 to 10 years part time.
Oh,
It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not.
So it ends up
No.
being like 2 years, but it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
become an abortion doctor on your time. You know, anywhere from 2 to 10 years. But I want to,
Wait.
I want to have to write letters to get admitted
uh-huh.
into various higher levels of education, higher institutions, talking about how I want to slaughter babies and add to the
Uh-huh.
bloodshed.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead, please do your thing. You're gonna blow up like that kid that's sitting, like
Dude,
that thing
I'm
I sent
serious.
you today. Go ahead.
I'm just hearing it in my head. Disjoin us at Nets. You know the whole with the truck drivers. Disjoin us at Nets. I just kept seeing like a row of doctors picking apart parts of a human being for the commercial. You know, you could
It's
and it's
some
like
kind
that.
of green screen of them
Dude, it's like
tearing
the 80s. It's the 80s infomercial video that you have to watch before you get the job. Quality, and it's a bunch of doctors out in front of a tractor trailer. So you figure, oh, well, this must be the wrong video because I'm here to destroy lives and take
I'm
souls.
trying to kill babies.
Yeah, I'm trying to severely. I'm here to end someone's faith in anything, and then you're like, why are they all in scrubs though if they're truck drivers? And then you see a subway, the big subway party subs. It's a subway party sub length of limbs because I don't know if you know this, but the way that they make their money is by selling the parts.
Right.
So then they're all
Among
connected.
among other ways, yeah.
Sure. And so they're all connected. Well, and so they're all connected, and then they go. we're soon to be abortion doctors. Disjoin us at Nets. And then they just break apart all the body parts, and anyone who survives watching that video automatically earns the degree
They get their certification
in vacuum cleaner repair.
You know what man, what bothers me, I think, the most about, or what puzzles me, it doesn't bother me because none of this shit bothers me. I'm like,
Is that we haven't gotten a letter from the
I'm-
president about the 700 people?
No, well, that too. I am troubled by that, but I'm willing to let bygones be bygones because I've said some pretty horrible things about Joe Biden in the past, and he probably doesn't even know that he's the president, and that this is like one of his sacred duties. But
He does approve this message, however.
he does. Every single one since his election is approved. But here, like, they talk about how abortion only accounts for like 3% of what goes on at Planned Parenthood, right? 3%.
Wow.
Would you disagree with me? I think that's the number that I saw. Is like
That must be-
abortion
I'll tell you
accounts
this.
for 3% of what they do at Planned Parenthood, and that was
Here's the
their
thing,
big
right?
argument. Way back
Let's
when.
say, Tom, first of all, okay, and I want to be serious here for a second. Partially, at least. Okay. Number one, even if it's 3%, in terms of workload, you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if I said to you, Tom, I'm a car salesman, and only 3% of my monthly sales goes to selling Lamborghinis.
Right.
You would still likely assume that those Lamborghini sales had a substantial portion of my funds each month because it costs a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So my assumption would be that even, I don't believe it, but if they were telling the truth, that 3% is workload, work hours, not the price, the value of the procedure, pay, the cost to the insurance companies or to Medicare, whatever it is. It's not first. And let's be honest too. Let's say they catch this kind of early, and then they have to have these sessions with them first, and all the things you get to charge in the pre and then the post and all this. If you it's doubles. It's not double speak, but it's like a tongue, not a tongue in cheek. It's like, well, it's lying without lying, right? Like the procedure itself
Oh, I
may
see
be
what
only
you're saying.
3%, but then there's the pre-op stuff,
No, I
the
get it.
post-op stuff. How much does the procedure cost, and how much is the actual value in your budget as compared to the actual hours? So, like, they could literally be telling the truth, because how many more times do they see someone, who was out banging the night before, and they're like, I need Plan B, or whatever the fuck it might
Right.
be, like something along those lines. Yeah, okay, sure. Can I believe that more people walk in there and go, look, I'm going to get my asshole railed out and I just need a box of condoms, but I just don't have it right now because I blew all my money on blow. And they're like, well, thank you for coming here, Congressman. And they give them
Come on, the
the condom.
congressman's not gonna. He's not gonna wear a condom. We'll see you
Oh,
later, Matt Squatch. Thank you for.
Even Matt Squatch is like, I cannot have my
Like,
celebrities tainted by this whole thing.
this is
Thank
too
you, Matt.
much.
Thank you, Matt. I hope you remember that you made this connection. So this is kind of your fault.
Without Matt
But anyway,
Squatch, yeah, this is his fault. We blame it all on Matt Squatch.
this is all Matt's.
He's got
That's the title of the show. It's Matt Scott's fault. So anyway, the point. So do I believe it? Like, no. But if the way they said it is to be believed, it's because they're playing with the numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then, but on a serious note, I want to say it's almost like saying, well, I only rape kids 3% of my time.
Right. That's still a problem, right?
It's still a real fucking problem if you consider what you're doing to be, taking a life, or however you would define it on any sort of human level. 3% of your time is still taken up by ending, or before it even started, however you look at it, right? There's no way you can dice it up and just be, well, of course they dice it up. That's how they make the money. But there's no way to, you understand? Like, it's still 3% of your hours. You're like, well, in an 8-hour day, I only spend about...
You're still doing it.
Right.
The thing.
Yeah, I spend only 15 minutes with that vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. And so, but here's my point: is 3%. If it only accounted for 3% of what goes on at Planned Parenthood, it should not be that difficult to bridge that gap, right? Like, if all of a sudden they're not able to do abortions, they lost 3% of what they can do in that establishment, right?
Sure.
But they're all shuttering their doors, so it's like, well, could you raise the price of, I don't know, Plan B? Could you maybe charge for condoms? Like, if they give out free
even
condoms,
if it's 10 cents, I don't know, whatever it is.
10 cents, whatever. It'd be so easy to bridge that gap. Would you maybe charge for some of these when you go, because they say, oh, they do a lot of like sex education stuff? Maybe charge if you're going to go out and you're going to do a whole thing. Go out, bring out some stuff, and let them, and sell some Planned Parenthood T-shirts or something. Get in the market. Get creative. Like, these people, the fact that they're like, well, 3% of our operations has just been squashed. We're so oppressed right now. We've lost 3% of what we can do as a business. We have to shutter the doors. And that, to me, is, if I were...
Dude, that 3% is like finding cheaper copy paper. You know what I'm saying?
It's so
like,
easy
let me get
to
a better ink
gap.
deal.
If you don't have somebody who's like, if you don't have somebody working at Planned Parenthood who's stepping up and saying, hey, listen, I've been talking about how we need to, like, maybe charge 5 cents per every K cup that we have in the day room, right? Like, I've been saying that we need to cut corners. As your accountant, you hired me on as a CPA. In these last 10 years, all I've been doing is, like, you've been handing me...
No, Tom, all he's been doing is abortions. I'm the accountant, and
you make me hold the vacuum cleaner, or like hold the coat hanger or whatever. But you've been handing me invoices with bloody fingerprints on them, like, this whole time for 10 years. And I've been telling you, we need to tighten up our belt. We need to make some changes, because this day was coming. We knew that this was coming. Even in recent months, when we knew it was coming, you were still ignorant to my pleas, right? And I was telling you that this was going to happen. But here's my itemized list of how we can bridge this 3% gap and still remain solvent. We can remain a good organization that helps people, right, and helps women, and provides health care and stuff. And all you have to do is, we just have to shift focus from our abortion line to, I don't know, prenatal care. let's do prenatal care, because that's a
Sure.
huge thing for people who want Planned Parenthood. You know, if
Mm-hmm.
you're trying to have kids and if you want prenatal care, we can do that. And we can actually
Mm-hmm.
use that money, no money coming from federal tax or from taxpayer money that's allocated federally, says that
Mm-hmm.
we can't do that. It says that we can't use that money for abortion. Now, I know we've been kind of like moving some stuff around so that we're technically not using it for abortion, but we're using it for abortion. But he's like, but if we
Uh-huh.
take that money, we can like guilt free help people
Sure.
Planned Parenthood, right? And you know, I've been saying this for years, and there's nobody out there in all of Planned Parenthood who's like stepping up and saying, "Hey, like you said, we just need to change the stock of paper that we use. We need to go with a different person. Maybe find somebody who's
Yeah.
willing to do free delivery. Like that's the difference in shuttering your doors at Planned Parenthood and
Mm-hmm.
remaining an organization that can continue to thrive. Like Kentucky,
Yeah.
you can't have an abortion unless it's like whatever, the health of the mother or whatever is at risk.
Oh, I see.
That's it. Like, and I think they even have something in there for the rape and incest or whatever. But again, that only accounts for 0.5%, less than.
I was going to
half
say
of a
that's always
percent.
the line, and I don't. I'll admit, look,
Less than half of a
I
percent
can't imagine
accounts for
being that poor woman. You know, I really can't. In that case, it doesn't change the fact that it's a life inside of her, which makes it, you know, quite complicated. Sure. But so that what I guess I'm saying is, if we wanted to have an intellectual or emotional debate about that 0.5%,
Mm-hmm.
so be it. You know, I can at least understand where the discussion is coming from. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't want to be raped and then also have to. You know what I'm saying? I get
Sure.
it. Okay. That being said,
That's not
point
the case.
0.5%. You know, right? It's not the case ever. And then it's not like they ever. Here's the other thing too. If it were, right? You know, because Hollywood is bereft of original ideas.
Mhm.
Any of the indie movies or any of the even major, you know, I cannot remember. I'm sure someone will correct me in the chat or whatever, but I can't remember a movie that came out where it was like, oh, someone was a victim of incest and was pregnant or something. Typically, it's just like, I'm a New York girl and wow,
Mhm.
you know, and something, right? Like, I can't even water my plant, whatever.
Yeah, and then she ends up puking one morning, and she's like, "Oh my god!
Yeah,
I think
you know,
I'm late. I'm pregnant."
right. And they're like, no, seriously, you're a man. Anyway, but no.
Oh
so-
my god!
Oh my god! We're trying to really get shut down this show. Happy
Let's attack
700.
everybody.
No more, no more channel. Happy
Anyways,
700.
you know what I hate about Muhammad? Everything. What a loser! Oh. All right, we do have to move on, Jerry, because if we want to, let's do our shot, let's do our welcomes, and then we'll move on. I've got jokes, I've got stories that we got to tell because we've been gone for 2 weeks, and then I know you've got the whoobies, so we got to make sure, and we got to be out of here by 11 because believe me, when I say my back is killing me, my back is killing me. I sent Jerry. You guys don't believe me, but I sent Jerry a picture of this big ass branch. One of my neighbors from down the street, about a block away. She's got 2 kids that are friends with my kids, so like that's kind of how we know one another. And the tree branch, like this big thick ass tree branch, broke in a storm that we had the other day, and we saw it. And I said, you know what? We built this big raised planter box, and I'm trying to fill the bottom of it with organic material and shit. So that includes these tree branches and shit. So my wife and I went down. My wife and I went down there, and we picked up. So we told the lady, we were like, hey, we'll pick up this tree. We'll get it out of here for you because we'll just throw it in our composting. And she was like, oh, okay, cool. And then it had been a couple days, and I still hadn't gone back down there to deal with it because of school and shit. And so then the other day I said, you know, we need to get down there. We need to take care of that before she thinks that we flaked on her. So the boys and I went down there and we cleared out the yard. But rather than cutting up the tree there, because it was already it was like 8 o'clock at night or whatever. And instead of cutting up the tree down there, I was like, let's just.
I had wondered that, by the way. I don't mean to stop you, but I had wondered, like,
you're right.
Break that apart first.
I should have, but I thought, you know, let's just get it up to the yard, and that way it'll be out of her yard. We can deal with it in our yard on our own home turf or whatever. And it was only about a block, but it was uphill too. So I'm in the middle with this thing. I wrapped it around both sides of me, and I'm just like, you know, manhandling this fucking tree. And I've got the boys on either side of the tree pulling, and we're just running uphill with it, and I'm running backwards. We finally get it into the yard, and I just collapse in the yard. I go to stand up a few minutes later, and I'm like, I can't get up. Like I am, I'm hurt, and so it's been hurting since then. But that's what's with the. And then Jerry also was dealing with his tree and hurt his back because we're too old to be doomsday preppers. That's why mine says broke his back yanking neighbor's wood, and Jason sprained his back while whacking his log.
It's true, yeah. To tell the actual, it's very quick. So some months back, I actually had a bulging disc in my back, and of course, there's no real like they just give you painkillers. They're just like stop doing stuff and here's some painkillers. That's pretty much how it goes. And so I guess there are, a potential for inflaming it again, this, that, and the other. And while it hasn't been quite that bad, I showed Tom pictures, essentially between a couple of guys, arborists, that I saw in my neighborhood, and I asked them to politely, drop the old trees that they had cut up into my yard, because I think I've told the assembled crowd here before that my wife and I bought a wood stove insert for our fireplace. So, of course, you want wood for that. And up here in our neck of the woods, Tom, I don't know how much it may be costing you out there, but for one of those shitty bindle bundles that you could get at like Lowe's or something, they want between $7 and $10, depending on where you go, which is like literally like 5 pieces of wood. You might have a couple of drinks in you and go, oh, this is how I'm going to spend my Friday night with my wife. I'm going to start a fire. It's worth $10 for that, that kind of thing. I spent more money on the wood than I did the booze, baby. Come on.
Sipping your PBR.
Right. But for me, canned wine, Tom, please.
PBR, it used to be $5 for a 12-pack, right? And now, with inflation the way it is, it's an unspeakable $7 for a 12-pack.
Oh my gosh. Dude, that's how you know. You can't even use PBR. Can I tell you the best way I've had PBR? I had PBR.
By just pouring it down the drain.
Dude, I went out to a restaurant one time, a sushi restaurant here near my neck of the woods, and they had a sake bomb. So essentially, you take a shot glass. Yeah, you take the shot glass of sake and you put it into PBR, and you chug it. That was the best PBR I've ever tasted.
Because it was mostly sake.
Because it was mostly sake, yeah. So anyway, yeah, a couple of arborists, and then there's this. And for you guys out there, I'm going to be serious for half a second. I'm not fucking kidding. They're trying to starve us out. They're cutting off power. They'll be continuing to do it. I mean, we all know it. NATO is adding other members to it. They're preparing for World War. I literally just watched a video of the head of the British Armed Forces saying that they're not mobilizing to start a war, but to prepare for a war, while also helping to bring in the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which is all that Klaus Schwab has been talking about out of the World Economic Forum. So you know that they're trying to start a war to usher in death and destruction, so eventually we'll all accept global communism. The point I'm trying to make, motherfuckers, grow your gardens, buy some storable food, and if you live in a place where it's going to be fucking cold, which, by the way, look into the grand solar minimum, all this global warming shit, it leads to extreme temperatures, droughts, and different things in certain parts. I'll agree with you. But overall, temperatures down because the sun does not have the strength on our planet as it has been. Oh, no. Tom, did you hear that?
No.
Literally, I froze and I heard bloop, bloop, bloop.
No, that wasn't on this end.
And I thought, okay.
Tapping in. It's Schwab.
It's the Fed in the chat.
Oh, you know what? Well, that's because we haven't welcomed.
Oh, we haven't said. That's right. So. Maybe they have to go on to another call. But the point, chip drop. You can get free wood chips and free log deliveries if you have log splitters. If you have fireplaces, things like that. This is literally free shit because arborists have to pay money to put these in dumpsters. So instead, they'll drop it off to you. And you can give them a tip if you want to be nice, but otherwise it's free, absolutely
Yeah,
free.
you can. They ask for like a tip of $20 or whatever.
Yeah, it's like $20 tip or something. But essentially, I got 3 trees. I think it's like I was because this is my first time doing this stuff. The estimated amount for those who understand wood piles, I got at least around 4 cords for no money.
I'm
Zero.
waiting on mine. I requested a drop. I'm still waiting.
Dude, it took me 2 months, and then
Is
suddenly it
that
felt
right?
like an earthquake outside my house. Yeah.
Did you ask for just one load or what?
Well, I asked for one load of logs. It took long enough where Chip Drop contacted me and said, "Look, I know it's taken a while. Do you still want some?" I said yes. Within 48 hours, I had an earthquake outside my house
Oh.
dropping off a whole fucking tree.
See, I'm waiting on it because, well, I requested it thinking, I thought for whatever reason, you told me about it, and I'm like, I'm going to go ahead and request it because it'll be, or I said, at first I was like, I'll wait until at least I get this thing set up to where, like, I know it's just going to take me a day or two to knock it out so that way they can drop it
Hmm.
off and I can move it right in. I was thinking it was going to be a boom, 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 boom thing.
No,
So I
no.
requested it, like, as I had all my stuff laid out. I'm like, okay, we're ready to get this thing started. Let me hit up
Right.
Chip Drop and I'll make sure.
Hmm.
And then I sent the request in, and then it said we'll get back to you when something comes up or whatever. And so
Right.
now I'm at that point where I'm like, well, now I got to come up with my own fucking chips or whatever to fill in this, because
Oh.
that's what we're doing now. Is I've got that my neighbor, he's got this wood pile of a
Hmm.
tree that fell down in his yard. So then he had it all cut up, but he's like, I don't have a fireplace. We have gas fireplaces, so he's like, I don't
Right.
have a need for this. So it's just been sitting there collecting dust. And so I said, I'll take it now that I've got this raised garden bed or whatever. I said, I'll take it and we'll use it to
Yeah.
fill in the bottom quarter, and then I'll throw sticks on top of it. And that's what we're using the other neighbor's tree branch for. We're gonna cut that all up and use those sticks, and then fill it in with
Hmm.
leaves and all that bull crap. And then I'm gonna take that top 6 inches, and that's what she said. And no, I said it too quick. I said it too early. That's what she said. I'm gonna do that top 6 inches or so. I'm gonna mix like one
Hmm.
part topsoil, one part
One
uh,
part vein, one part balls, one part
one part
dude.
pubic hair. Yeah, I'm gonna mix my own soil and peat moss and all that shit. I'm gonna mix it all together,
Yeah,
make
yeah.
my own soil, and fill in. That way, it's a little bit cheaper than it would be if I would have just went out and bought the expensive dirt or whatever. So
Oh,
yeah,
sure.
but that's what I've got going on with mine. I showed you the picture of my whole garden setup. I mean, it's all
Yeah, it's
repurposed
awesome.
wood, so it's like it's huge, and it's the dogs actually got into it, and then we laid cardboard too because I got my wife to bring home cardboard from work, and
Hmm.
and then we lined it with burlap so to keep all the weeds and shit out. So I'm very excited about it. I
Nice.
look forward to seeing what we end up doing with that. In the coming seasons, but yeah, right now my peppers and my tomatoes and my okra and my what else do I have? Um, a lot of peppers. I do have a lot of peppers coming in, but I'm
Nice.
very excited about my ghost peppers because this will be my first year that I've ever been able to get ghost
Oh,
peppers.
nice.
Because
Cool.
a friend from church, she has a greenhouse and all of her plants were dying that hadn't sold off. So
Oh,
she's like,
right. I remember you saying this. Yeah.
anybody who wants them, just come get them, and we'll just give them to you for free. So I did. I went and got some ghost peppers, and
So this is someone from church who gave you the peppers.
yeah. So well, she
So you're
gave me
saying, so wait then, they're not ghost peppers, they're spirit peppers.
they're spirit peppers. They're Holy Spirit peppers. The Holy Ghost spirit peppers.
Right, yeah.
But no, yeah, she gave them to me, and they were like kind of like slumped. She just stopped caring for them because she's like, I can't do anything with these. They're gonna go in the trash. I gotta pitch them or whatever. But she's like, if you
Yeah.
want them, come get them. So of course, I grabbed the good stuff, right? Because I'm greedy like that.
Of
But then my
course.
son, being the good, caring person that he is. He purposely grabbed the ones that didn't look like they were gonna make it because he's like, you know what? I'll leave the good ones for somebody else to come take, and we'll take the ones.
Oh,
And so I ended up
nice.
having to tend his basically dead tomato plants or whatever. But they've all made a full recovery, and we're very excited to see
Nice.
what comes from that. So let's talk about who's in the chat. Welcome to the chat, Chris Rose, Mike in Manitoba. Chris Rose is actually the new leader. He took the lead today.
He was
Mike
there
in
first, that's
Manitoba, Efren Flores, Megabit Banshee, Joseph Byrer, Jay Coob, Matt Squatch, who's no longer here, but we appreciate him coming. If he tunes back in later to hear this, I doubt that he will, though. But that's just to rub in the face of anybody, all you haters out there. We have Matt Squatch come and visit us on our show. Critter Me Timbers, Don Trout, the FBI guy in the chat, Superfan Ben, and the Tile guy. So from Ben's work. So what are we cheersing to? The repeal of Roe versus Wade and being able to like laugh at all the blue hairs with the piercings in their faces and shit?
No, I want to take an even more neutrally positive approach. I want to applaud all the actual vacuum cleaner repair people
for taking it all in stride. All these
well, yeah, because they're being sullied if you think about it, and you know, I think they've earned it. Tom, did you see the last question in the chat there? Do you have a response?
How many pot plants do I have? I have
just enough not to get in trouble.
Oh, pot. Oh, no. Okay. No, I don't have any of those plants. I thought you meant like actual like plants in pots. No,
plants in pots.
No, I have.
First of all, Tom, if you have any, up your game. Go with a 5-gallon bucket. That's number one. And then, you know.
No. So I would love to. I would love to grow, and not because like I like smoking weed, but first of all, it's still illegal here. Because because my state is run by a bunch of fucking squares, right? Who don't but I don't smoke weed. I've never been super into smoking weed. I never got into it. Never thought it was anything. I've done it before. I can count on the hands, you know,
sure,
that I have in your hands, and probably the people who are watching right now. I can count on all those hands how many times I've smoked weed, but it's just never been something that I was particularly fond of. But I would grow them, just not even to sell them.
Dude, can I tell you?
I just like growing things, and especially if they're challenging, and like I can brag about it later and be like, oh man, I grew these fucking really good. Check out this habanero. How many times have I sent you? I may not have sent you any yet, but I send people all the time like pictures of my produce that I get from my garden, just because I'm like, nice. Look at how good this looks. Like, look at how, and I might not even eat it. It'd be like jalapenos. I'll just turn it into a salsa or whatever, or a hot sauce, but you know, I'll be like, look at this fucking jalapeno, it's huge. And then because I grow organically, I don't use any chemicals and shit, so I like to brag on it. And if I could grow pot plants, I would probably grow really good pot plants, just because it would be challenging and it would be a fun little experience.
Dude, I'll tell you this, you know, it's one of those things too, and I've thought about this for a couple of different reasons, not only the pot plants, but also there's an outfit called Urban Farmer, and they actually, I think them and another company that's escaping me right now.
Back to our roots?
Maybe, but they sell tobacco seeds. So you could grow tobacco plants. And I just thought to myself, you know, I quit smoking, and sure, it would probably take a lot of labor to like harvest it and make it into a cigarette or cigar, this or that or whatever it is. But on the other hand, I thought, you know, if shit goes down, I might be interested in having a little tobacco at the end of the day, first of all. And then secondly,
well, you've earned it at that point.
Right. If my family's still alive day after day in the apocalypse or whatever. But then the second part, I'm thinking, well, if it comes to trade, you know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Like you say to someone, dude, leave my fucking let's, you know, how about you give me that, and I will give you all of this pot, or whatever, right? Or here's, I know you can't go to the store and get cigarettes anymore. Here's a bunch of tobacco. Do you have papers? Because if you do, you suddenly have cigarettes, you know. So I thought about it for that. Not only that, also just like you said, the challenge of growing things.
Yeah.
I want to succeed in all of it. Yeah, dude. I mean, I've shown you pictures of my yard, how much I have going on. You know, I can't, like, I literally, if I was to just tell you the herbs in my garden alone, I mean, if you count mint, I've got regular mint, pineapple mint. I have pineapple sage, regular sage. I have the sage that looks like basil. That's a totally different type of sage. Then I have basil, cilantro. I have regular sage. I have bee balm. I've got oregano and thyme. And that's just off the top of my head for shit that I'm growing. And Tom knows, having seen the pictures, that's not even close to maybe, 10% of what I got going on, I think. So yeah, if you wanted to add pot or tobacco, fuck yeah, why not? It'd be fun.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about. Do you get out there and do you prune all your stuff and like do you how much time and do you weed around the plants and all that shit like every day? Do you go out there
Yeah.
and deal with all that?
Yes. Yeah. So the great part is that I know I have very prolific fruit bushes. So like, let's say strawberries were really coming out for a while there. They're going through another cycle now, so it'll probably take another week or two before more come out. And my raspberries have just started, and they're literally bushes. I mean, I'm 6'5". They're probably as long, like as I am long, and then 2/3 of my body
Hmm.
tall, and there's just nothing but those berries. I've got new blackberries on my thornless blackberry bush. The tallest that's gotten is actually taller than me. My elderberries are starting to go from flowering to fruit, and so on and so on. So my point in saying all that is that I have the motivation, besides the fact that my 1-year-old wants to go out and just like tear shit up all in my yard every day. So I'm out there regardless. So then I'm like looking at, okay, the potatoes have flowered. Are they starting to die back? Do I need to pull those up? All right, let me look around the onions for this. Or, so I am weeding, but it's because I'm out there anyway. I'm looking at, oh, my cannellini beans have started to produce beans. Oh, look at this. I've got whatever, right? So yes, the answer is yes. I'm out there messing around at least a little bit every day. If for no other reason than I don't want the birds to get all the raspberries. So I've got to go get those. And oh, by the way, there's a bunch of weeds, so I weed.
Yeah. Now, if you have a garden and you are serious about your garden, you will never have any time for like having an affair. You'll never have time to go out and do crimes, right? You'll
Right.
never have time to like beat your kids. So like all the stuff
Sure.
that you don't want to do as a man, right? But like some men find themselves in these predicaments. You won't have
Hmm.
time for that if you have a garden, and you have a garden. It's a sense of like
Sure.
purpose, and it's stewardship, and you're tending to creation. So, anyways, to
Oh, also congratulations to Stephicus and Megabit.
yeah, they quit.
Uh,
They quit cold turkey smoking the devil's lettuce. Uh,
right.
well, yeah, but now they've got a beautiful daughter. So I
That's
mean,
right.
see how a lot of people don't get that. Like, if you want to have a kid and you are serious about it, sometimes you're making these bad choices. You continue to smoke. You got people who like smoke crack, and they're like, "Why can't I have a kid?" Well, it's because you smoke crack, right?
Yeah,
Like,
that's right.
there's some situations like that where people just don't realize that they're making, and it's not always smoking crack, but sometimes it's like some kind of like sinful, sometimes it's like a sinful behavior that they're doing.
Yeah,
They're like, I
something
don't
else.
know
Yeah,
why
sure.
I can't conceive. And it's like, well, maybe it's because of who you are as a person. I've known some people who are like, they have to go through in vitro, and they're like, well,
Hmm.
this was the argument that I had, and I hate to get back on the abortion thing, but this is the argument that I had with somebody recently. They said, well, what's your take on in vitro? Because they make all these embryos, right, in test
Hmm.
tubes, and you end up having to. These embryos either get frozen, they're donated, they're thrown away, so they're destroyed or whatever. So
Hmm.
what's your opinion on that? What are we doing? Are we killing those babies too? And I said, it sure sounds like it. And they were like, what would you do? And I said, I would donate them. I would say that if there's some family out there who can't get pregnant and they want to have one of these embryos,
Especially now, Tom. Now that
yeah,
they've all sterilized
yeah, now
themselves
they
with this
can't
with
have,
the
yeah, now they
goof.
can't have a kid. But I would
Yeah.
I would donate them, yeah, for sure. But also I didn't have to do in vitro fertilization because the Lord didn't want me to not have kids, right? Like,
Mm.
to me, when somebody has to like constantly, when they're fighting and fighting and fighting for a decade trying to have kids, and then they eventually have to settle, or even if they only go for like a year or 2 years and they give up and they're just like, I'm gonna go to in vitro, and then
Mm.
they do that, they're playing God, right? So they're
Yeah, I
basically
guess, yeah.
spitting in the face of God, saying, "Well, I know you don't want me to have kids, but I'm gonna have a kid, right?" So to me, when somebody's like, "Well, we had to do in vitro fertilization," I'm like, "Didn't you see that as like a sign that maybe God didn't want you or didn't think you deserved kids, right?" Like,
Or
um,
Tom, I don't mean to listen. I don't want to try
no,
to
go
tell
ahead.
people how to live their lives here, but maybe they needed to figure out that you can't do it in the butthole and get pregnant.
Yeah,
You
you
know, some
can't be
people they
like a
just
trans woman,
they
right?
just don't learn their lesson, Tom. You
Mm.
cannot, you know, be doing heegees and beegees
Yeah,
and then be like, why am I not pregnant? You know,
can't breed their boy pussy, right? Is that what they're called? I hate that I know that, but I know a lot of like.
You hate the word. You hate the second part of that word anyway.
I do. I hate all of it. But I have
Well,
to.
I mean,
I have to like waddle through the dregs of society so that I know what kind of disgusting filth there is out there. And but see, yeah, and Mike says we tried for almost 10 years, but finally we're blessed with a boy and girl, and I think that's because God eventually said, "Okay, now is the time for you."
Well, you know what it is. Mike actually told me this. No, for real, Tom. I don't want you to get too serious. Turns out, Mike realized, oh, we have to be in the same bed. You know, because they were very strict. They had
yes, he's a very
beds.
Conservative man.
Right, they had the 2 separate beds in the same room, and so finally they realized, oh no, wait a minute, the sheet in between us needs to have a hole in it.
You know what it was?
You know what I mean?
He's not a Mormon or whatever it is.
I don't know.
No, what are those? Like I was reading about Mormons, how they soak, where they'll like insert themselves, their erect penis into a vagina, and then they soak. They sit there and soak. Like they don't thrust. There's no humping. They just sit there until they go off or whatever. And technically, that's not a sin in Jehovah or in Mormonism. But then you can have somebody come over, and it's called jump humping, where they jump on the.
Stop it! Come on, dude. No,
this is a real thing. Look up soaking. Look up soaking, and look up jump humping. These are real things in Mormonism. But anyways, to jump humping.
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, I have a couple jokes that I want to tell. Well, I gotta talk first.
See, Mike admitted it. Took about 6 months for them to figure it out. That's all. That's all.
Look,
we all listen.
You know what they say now though with monkeypox is like, so you don't get monkeypox, you're supposed to jerk off on the other side of the room. Like a lot of people, we're just confusing a lot of this next generation of kids who are trying to have sex.
Can I just lay this out there, though,
Tom?
Tom?
I gotta jerk off on the other side of the room?
Dude, if there's even one teenage person, boy or girl, I don't give a fuck. If there's any one of them who saw those recommendations and thought, oh, that's legit.
They deserve to not ever...
You deserve to not ever have pleasure. Or kids, frankly. Either one.
Can you imagine the guy who's like, well, they're like, well, when did you lose your virginity? Well, I was 16. I was jerking off on one side of the room, and my girlfriend was on the other side of the room. And
oh no, dude, it's even worse, right? Yeah. Like he's like, oh no, I got this girlfriend. I've never been able to touch or smell her. What do you mean? Well, because of the fear of monkeypox, we're neighbors actually. So I just stand outside her house and jerk off onto her plants, and she
would come down.
Me kisses. Yeah, she, you know. Oh, thank goodness, thank you. I'll come down and get it.
Later, yeah, and then there's just a bunch of jizz all over the flower bed. All right.
Actually, salute. Did you know that? They salute each other.
Where does this happen? This is Gen Z or whatever?
Yeah, Gen Z in North Dakota.
Poor bastards.
You know?
All right, so we got to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi because it's over. No more Obi-Wan.
No, come on.
Yeah, no, it's over. But I have something to say here. Here are my two jokes about Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay. Here we go.
The fan base of Obi-Wan says that Reva was the black girl, the villain. She's supposed to be the big bad for the show, but then she ended up. It's like the writers were like, "Hey, the big bad is Reva," and they're like, "Well, you realize that the big bad is fucking Darth Vader because he's." Still
I was gonna say, imagine that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the writer was like, "Well, we have some material. We'd like to introduce this other character, right? We have a really cool thing that we're gonna do with it." And they're like, "Whatever, I don't care, but just understand this: that the big bad is fucking Darth Vader." And then they're like, "Okay," so that was their compromise. So the fan base of Obi-Wan is saying that Reva is the greatest Slay Queen, also demanding spin-off series and returns are the same. These are they want the spin-off and they want like the backstory of Reva. They want more of her.
Okay.
This is just people.
I understand.
The fake Star Wars fans, right? That all of a sudden, I'm like, these are the same people that like. There was a scene in this Obi-Wan series where like a guy who was on screen for maybe 10 seconds. His name was Wade. He flew one of the ships and was destroyed. Right, like he was killed by Reva of all people. But anyways, he gets blown up. Has maybe 10 seconds of screen time. They were calling for a backstory for Wade. Right, and they were wanting the return of Wade, and and then also like similarly, back in A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, there's another character named Wedge, right? He's an accomplished pilot.
He's the fat
No,
pilot.
that was Porkins. Wedge is
Oh,
the
Porkins,
guy.
right?
He
Yeah,
led
appropriately
the.
named Porkins.
He led. His name was literally Porkins. He led the assault on the Death Star the first time, and then he was actually part of. Like, he went with Lando, he led Lando, and they ended up destroying. Spoiler.
Whereas Porkins actually led the salt and pepper to the table for food.
Yeah, that was a different salt that was going on with Porkins. But these are the same people who were like, we need to hear more about Wedge. We need to hear more about Wade. We need to hear more about fucking, the Gungan that from scene 13 on Phantom Menace. Like, they picked these obscure characters who, like, we have more than enough of that character. We're like, okay, well, that's cool. Thank you. Thank you for your sacrifice to the universe, and, you were a great character for what it's worth.
Wasn't there Rose Tico's sister? Remember Rose Tico's sister got blown up in Return of the Last Jedi in the first scene, and people were like, oh, yeah, I want that too,
Yeah, they want backstories for all these characters, but then these are the same people. Then all of a sudden they're like, they say it so often for every single character that shows up on screen. Then all of a sudden they're like, we want a backstory for Reva. I'm like, you want a backstory for everybody. Like, there's a certain point where I just stop listening to you, and you guys wasted it on people like Wedge and Wade and fucking Jar Jar Binks' cousin, and I don't know, like some fish, the fish that Qui-Gon Jinn says there's always a bigger fish. Like, you want a backstory for everybody. So when you say you want a backstory for Reva, just know this: I've stopped listening to you, and I hope that we don't get a backstory on any of these people.
Turns out that fish is Mormon, by the way. Did you know that?
He was soaking in that first.
He was soaking in that whole. That was what he was doing that whole time, and then Qui-Gon just floated right through.
There's always
like nothing was happening.
Right. And then my other Obi-Wan thing that I want to say is, the Miss Marvel. Did you see how Miss Marvel flopped? Did you hear about that?
It's the best Marvel show of all time.
Well, so people say. Some people say that Miss Marvel apparently flopped, and they were blaming it on, guess what?
Straight white men.
Yeah, straight white. Well, essentially because they said that it was because
Obi-Wan
ruined it for Miss Marvel, and because Obi-Wan's premiere at the same time as hers, or like it coming on at the same time as hers, being released at the same time as hers, ruined it, and it distracted people, and people weren't able to watch Miss Marvel. Now, my argument there.
Didn't you know?
Hold on.
You can't watch two things at the same time.
Hold on, don't steal it from me, okay?
Okay, sorry.
Here's the thing. This isn't. Now, the people who are using that excuse probably come from an era that you and I remember where you could only watch one channel, and you would have to wait until the rerun came on to catch the other show, right? They're talking about how Obi-Wan Kenobi was so popular that it took over that time slot for Miss Marvel, not realizing that it's released on a streaming service that is on demand. So you can literally go from watching Obi-Wan to watching Miss Marvel right afterwards. Or you could pause Obi-Wan, watch Miss Marvel, and then go back and watch the rest of Obi-Wan. You can do that. These are things that are available to you in a modern world. Now, the other argument might be that nerds can only like one thing at a time. Okay?
Oh.
So
you have to blame autism then.
You can't. Probably, but you can't. If you say you like Star Wars and Marvel, maybe you like, because typically, I don't know, The Force Awakens came out, and then later on in the year, Infinity War came out, right? So you're not like, I don't know if that's the same year, but like you can all of a sudden you can say, well, they didn't come out at the same time. You can like Star Wars for the first half of the year, and you can like Marvel for the second half of the year. That's okay. This is like the image that they're trying to paint, that like you can't, Obi-Wan is running right now, so you're not going to be able to also like Marvel at the same time as you're liking Star Wars. Okay, so that's why Miss Marvel didn't do well. Nobody in all of Disney ever thought that the possibility did not cross anybody's mind that Miss Marvel just wasn't a very good show, right?
No.
And kind of in the same way that Buzz Lightyear, speaking of flopping, And I'm not talking
Excuse
about the
me.
flopping gay penis of Chris Evans calling me a dinosaur because I don't want my kids to see a lesbian kiss in their cartoon shows.
Have you ever noticed, by the way, that they always insert two girls kissing? Have you noticed that? Like
I
in the
no, I don't. I
last
don't
Star
watch
Wars
them.
movie, it's what? No, well, in the Rise of Skywalker, they had two girls kissing, but way in the background, out of focus. And then I haven't seen this buzz. You know, I don't know where or how. But the point is, they inserted more girl kissing. It's just funny to me. Like they keep saying, like, "Oh, why don't you support?" Well, I'm not. Listen, I wouldn't because I don't think it's appropriate. But if you really want to put your money where your wiener is,
Mm-hmm.
I would say having two dudes,
Yeah, are you gonna like try to
like in a jerk sesh on a park bench
how
while
do
you're,
you are you trying to offend or are you trying because
wait,
like
in Wall-E 2, it's just
yeah,
two.
well, they don't have the guts to do that because they'll sit
No.
there and they'll talk about how they want like accurate representation of the LGBT community, but like they don't ever put ugly bitches kissing, right?
Oh, you should
So
see the Rise of Skywalker, my friend.
oh well, I haven't. No, I haven't watched it. So, but
I mean, don't
like
bother. I'm just saying
typically,
it's the end celebration.
like we don't see. It's not like an accurate, true to life, um, like lesbian kissing, and you never see that
Right.
in real life. When you see two girls kissing, it's never like two hot girls, right? Which is
Right. If
kind of
they're on
like
the
the
back of a
image.
motorcycle, it's because they're
Right.
they're the stunt doubles for those two fat guys on the really small motorcycles. If you
They're
remember that.
always they're always smoking a cigarette or a cigar, usually a
Hmm.
cigar, and shooting
Yeah.
like drinking straight from the Jack Daniels bottle because they're basic too, and they've got tattoos and cut off denim vests or whatever, and like a haircut that's
Their
kind of
blood
like,
type is ham sandwich.
and then their haircut looks like Kenny Loggins from the Danger Zone video, right?
And they
So
are dangerous.
yeah.
Statistically, lesbians have the highest percentage of domestic violence.
Is that
Just so-
true? I would believe it just hearing it. But here's
Listen, I don't remember where to back that up, but I've heard
That's
it for
true.
so
It
many.
sounds right because, like, when I think of lesbians in real life, I instinctively think of
Cinemax.
male police officers, right? Like any statistic that applies to a male police officer, I assume applies to a lesbian in real life.
Oh, okay, sure.
Speaking of lesbians, though, and the appearance as well. Speaking of lesbians, here's a joke I wrote while I was on vacation because I saw two very ugly fat lesbians while we were on vacation. I said there's always the question of what the calorie count is for eating a girl out, and I realized something recently. If it were 0 or even low, there'd be no fat lesbians, right? How often do we see thin lesbians? Only in porn, right? Because fat lesbian porn wouldn't sell. When we see lesbians in real life, they're all fat and usually ugly, if we're being honest. So we now know that the calorie count of eating a girl out is higher than probably you would care to know. I'd venture to say it's
Sure.
up there with like it's got to be higher than your typical 100-calorie snack. So I'm thinking maybe like Lunchable.
Yeah.
Like Lunchables are 260. Did you know that? Like at Lunchables and
Wow,
Pop
really?
Tarts are very
Yeah, I did.
high in calories. But I would
Holy crap.
assume that eating a girl out is probably in the 260, maybe 300.
You know what, Tom? I think you just figured it out in the same way as I want someone to figure out why if if you get a bag of popcorn to pop, right?
Mhm.
They'll tell you that if you don't pop the bag, it's calorie count, and then they'll tell you what the calorie count is for a popped bag of popcorn. And I'm sitting there going, who the fuck is just sitting there
Sucking
eating-
the kernels.
eating kernel? Yeah, eating, because I assume it's not just from sucking the butter off them, right? Like you have to eat them, I guess. Like who's just sitting around like, cracking all their
Well,
teeth
I would
and
imagine
shit.
they probably just suck on them and then swallow them like they're sunflower seeds, right?
Oh gosh,
I
wow.
think. I don't know.
Could you imagine their
here's-
bloated belly and how hard
I
that shit is that
I
they
would
take
rather
afterwards?
not. I would rather not even think about those people. I'm already immediately like tuned out or turned off by these people. Here's one I wish I would have thought about earlier when we were talking about reproductive rights. I realized that like a lot of these, I've been going around mansplaining abortion, reproductive rights because like a lot of these women are like, oh, you're taking away all of our reproductive rights. What if we have like an ectopic pregnancy, or what if we have what if it's going to impact our lives, like health wise, like what if it's a danger to our health or whatever. First of all, I think like if there's a chance that you may die by giving birth. I think that's like a decision that you should probably put the baby first. But that's just me. That would be between the. I know that's the position that my wife took when she was pregnant or whatever, was if ever there was a situation where they're like, well, there's a slim chance that you could die giving birth, would you like to abort the baby? The answer was always no. But I think a lot of people, those are the posts that I'm seeing a lot of, is like, well, that's not fair that you would put somebody, this is forced birth and you're going to make people blah, 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 and they could die giving birth or whatever. But I've gone through and I've looked at, anytime I see posts, I look at that person, where they live, I look at their state statutes, and I determine what the actual law is. And every single time I've done it, every single state that I've looked at has had a clause that allows, that factors in, hey, if
mother's welfare,
mother's welfare and ectopic pregnancies, D&Cs, like all these things that they put in these shock and awe things, they're all accounted for. They're all.
They take into consideration the Democratic National Committee. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. No, the cleaning out with the vacuum cleaner and the hook.
Oh, gotcha.
Because those are technically abortions or whatever is what they say. But the states factor that in and they say, hey, those don't count as abortions. We're not considering that abortions. Don't be ridiculous. It's for the mother's welfare, and if it's just a matter of this and that. So all the things that they're worried about are not actually affected. And I've been going around mansplaining this to people. And I said, man, it sounds like you guys didn't lose your reproductive rights. It sounds more like you lost your reproductive rights, the way you guys can't figure out. So I was pretty proud of that one. But again, I
wish they were still doing the fireworks here.
I lost a lot of friends because of that sort of commentary.
What,
my
the
final
pun?
one, well, just shitting on people for abortion. And then here's my final thing with inflation the way that it is. I have come to this. There used to be a time where I would let things slide. Like if I went to a fast food place and they accidentally put ketchup or they accidentally left pickles on it or whatever, I'd tell my kids, hey, just scrape it off the bun, you'll be okay. But now with everything being jacked up, like 75%, 50-75% in some places. Like I went to McDonald's, I think it was like the order was like $40 and it used to be like $18, right? So like I'm like, this is insanity. So now, if they get anything even remotely wrong, or even slightly, even if it doesn't inconvenience me, like, hey, you forgot to put a straw in the bag or something, like it used to be, oh, we got straws at home, don't even worry about it. But now, if it's something at all that's even wrong, I'll sit there in the drive-thru when they hand me the stuff, and I check everything. And then I'll wait, and then as soon as I look, if something's wrong, I will stop right there, and I'll make them come back out. I made some people come out in the rain the other day, twice, because they fucked up my order twice. And I said, hey, listen, I asked for no ketchup and no mustard on this. And they were like, oh, okay, well, we'll go change it out. They went in, and when they came back out with the new one, I said, hey, I asked for apple pies. You gave me these fucking cherry pie things or whatever. And they were like, oh, we'll go get the apple pies or whatever. And then, like, but it was just like one thing after that. If they don't give me like commercial quality sandwiches, I send it back. Because if you're going to jack up prices on me, I'm going to jack up expectations to where they should have been, right? We gave you a shot. We gave you a little bit of leeway because we know where you're borderline retarded, but we know you're teenagers. But now,
dude, $15 an hour. First of all,
if we're gonna have to pay you more, and you're gonna be getting paid more because of this bullshit $15 an hour shit, you're gonna give me a $6 sandwich, right? Like if you're charging me $6 for a sandwich that used to cost me $2, you're gonna give me a $6 fucking sandwich, and I'm gonna make you come out in the rain 2-3 times if that's what it takes for me to get my $6 sandwich and get it done right. So that's what I would encourage you all to do is from now on, don't let these people off. If they're gonna be charging us for anything, like if you leave the oil change place and they left some smudges on your car, take it right back in and say, hey man, you left fucking oil smudges on my car, can you clean this shit off? Or if you go in and you get your car washed and they're vacuuming the inside and then they go to like put their hand out for the tip, you say, I still see dog hair in there. Get your ass back in this car and clean this fucking car. You're charging me $30 to detail my car, and you're gonna leave dog hair in it? Come the fuck on, get out of here.
Yeah, that's,
and they think that like, well, we showed up when other people are like being lazy and shit. You know, the byproduct of the shit that we warned them would happen,
gotcha.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So they think that they're God's gift to employment, right? And they're like, well, we can do no wrong. We can slack off and we can get away with it. No, sir.
I'm the only one who can bring you this burger. Okay?
Yeah, right. So all of a sudden, now they've got Tom Miller coming back in and saying, hey, there's still fucking dog hair in here, dude. I need you to clean this up. Well, I showed up to work today. Well, that's cool, but I need you to clean this fucking dog hair up. You know, get back in there with your vacuum, your central vac, and clean this shit up. And then I need you to make me a cheeseburger, right? So that's... I encourage you all to do that. When you go out, don't settle. Don't ever go home and be like, you know, it's okay. I don't want to raise a stink. I don't want to make a big deal. You know, they're trying. No, they're not, because they're charging you 75% more than they would have charged you 2 years ago, and they want to give you a poorer quality product. So make sure you hold them to that 75% upgrade standard. Make sure they deliver a 75% upgrade on their product. So, anyways, Jerry, you go right ahead. I know we got the woobies. Jerry with the woobies.
Here we go. The semi-weekly wooblies. All right. Tom, I'm going to try to go, we only got about 20 minutes here. So I'm not going to, no dilly-dallying. You understand what I'm saying? So here we go. Tom, wild video shows Missouri cops blank on kidnapping suspect at blank. I'm going to say it one more time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wild video shows Missouri cops blank on kidnapping suspect at blank. And I will give you a hint. At blank is not like it's an actual physical location.
Oh.
Yes,
okay.
This is why I wanted to clarify for you so you didn't. Yeah, actual physical location.
Because
and everybody in the chat, don't forget, you can jump in here too.
What I was going to say was wild video shows Missouri cops jizz on kidnapping suspect at Dick Point.
Oh, that's good. I don't even care about the right answer now. Like, it's good. That's a good answer. I'm going to just tell you now, that's a good answer. So,
thank you. Hold on, I got your thing ready. Go ahead.
Okay. So, the wild video shows Missouri cops unload on a kidnapping suspect at AutoZone. Now,
Toasty!
Wait, you said at something point.
What? No, I said at blank.
Where did I hear the word point?
I don't know.
Did I just make that up?
Honestly, it's a good thing to make up. You know what I mean? Like,
I thought that's why you told me that it was like a place.
No,
right?
No.
Because you had said suspect at blank point. I thought you were like Mineral Point or.
I think I might have said I want to make a point of saying this. Maybe that's what I said.
Well, that's why I said Dick Point.
Yeah. It's still better than the actual story, frankly.
Because can you imagine, right? Like, them, holding their erect penises at this guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Was it a girl or a guy?
On their videos. Oh, well, it's a guy, and he kidnapped his girlfriend.
Incredibly gay, Jerry.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you. Here's what's even crazy. Like, think about. There's gay. There's crazy. Listen. They said to the woman, his girlfriend, they said, lady, how did he manage to get you in the car, the ex-girlfriend, right? And
she said at Dick Point.
She said at Dick Point. Well, he had a gun, of course, right? And she said, well, he pointed the gun at me, and he said, get in the zone.
Is that it? There's more, I feel like.
Get in there. No, seriously, get in.
Toasty!
Get in the zone.
I thought you were purposely doing it wrong because you couldn't do it. So I did the whoopsies early.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. It's a whoopsies all around, really.
All right.
Okay. So here we go, Tom. Okay, this is a good one. I think you're going to like this one. Shock video, which I think actually should be shocking. I think people who don't speak English are writing this. Shocking video, Tom. Teen opens fire on, and I will say person. Okay, so you know, person. Then fatally shoots self outside physical location. Okay, so I'm going to do it one more time. Teen opens fire on a person, then fatally shoots self outside physical location.
Okay.
What are you thinking? What is everybody in the chat thinking? What are we all thinking?
Let me talk through this one. Shock video.
Mm-hmm.
Teens. Shock video colon.
Right. Shock video colon. Right.
Yeah, I had to without punctuation in my own writing, I still fuck it up. Teen opens fire on someone, on this person.
Right.
And can I have a no, don't give me a clue. Don't give me a clue. I was going to say, then fatally shoots self outside.
Yeah, the location.
I would say teen opens fire on kidnapper, then fatally shoots self outside AutoZone. Final answer, Jerry.
All right, Tom. Shock video. Teen opens fire on Orlando police officer.
Oh.
Then fatally shoots self outside of Olive Garden.
What a terrible place to kill yourself. Oh, hold on. Don't do it. Don't do anything yet.
Okay. All right, we got the
thing.
Right. We gotta do it. Well, Tom, believe it or not, thank goodness we were able to cross-reference this story. We found his Facebook page, and luckily, the way that God works. You understand what I'm saying? We just don't know all the ways God works. Turns out, the last post he made on his Facebook page, he indicated he wanted his last meal to have endless breadsticks.
He wanted his last meal to be he wanted what's that meal that they have? You can get a pasta and then you get a take-home pasta. Like he wanted to have a take-home pasta. And he kills himself and there's like pasta spilled all over the place. And then it's an Eminem song about mom's spaghetti plays.
Dude, he took your lead. He said, "I paid $15 for this pasta and I only got pasta." But like I said, luckily on his Facebook page, because they have those questionnaires, you know what I mean, where people fill out, eyes brown, face, favorite dish, favorite place to eat
at Olive Garden.
And he said, and if you had your last meal, if you could plan your last meal, what would it be? And he said, anything that includes endless breadsticks
and a take-home pasta.
Take-home pasta.
It's never anything good either. Like I've gone there for their. I'll tell you what. A lot of people talk about the breadsticks. The breadsticks are fine. Those are okay. But
they're endless,
real treasure.
They're like asparagus.
The salad. I really like the salad. I think that Olive Garden does the salad really well. And the only thing in the salad that I won't eat is the black olives or whatever. I don't eat olives. But everything else in that salad is so good. It really is. And I don't know what it is, what kind of dressing that they use on it, but then they put the cheese on it. Right?
Oh, Tom, I can tell you. I actually know someone who used to work there. They have a partner
there, didn't you?
No. Come on now. I never had such a high class job. I did know someone who worked there. They said in 2014 they began a partnership with Planned Parenthood, and then it turned out their salad got a lot better.
They ground up the fetus.
That's it. Yeah.
Well, I hate to admit it, Jerry. Then I love the taste of ground up fetus on my salad.
Here we go, Tom. That's a great quote. Tom, New Jersey man throws blank and blank into the water, but blank was recovered. I'll say it again. New Jersey man throws blank and blank into the water, but blank was still managed to be recovered.
All right. I got this one. This one's easy.
Let's do it. Here we go.
New Jersey man throws used car batteries and the Declaration of Independence in water, but nothing was recovered, is my final answer. Wow, my goodness. First of all, if that was the case, where was Nicolas Cage? He was right behind him, cheering him on. Right, that was him, actually. New Jersey man throws iPad and iPhone into the water,
but child porn was still recovered.
Oh, they got him.
Now, Tom, I've read into this, and
Toasty!
what the story tells you, Tom, is just how much effort cops will make to go out of their way to view child porn.
Toasty!
For those who didn't hear it in the back, I was saying, what this story shows you is just how much effort cops will put in and go out of their way to watch child porn.
It's
like, wow, man. It's like, wow, man, it was it. Threw it in the water. And he still made sure to go get it.
Some detective, he's like, I got it. Boys, I got it. I got
guys, I got it. And then they just come out with a big trough of white rice to soak up all the water real quick.
No, my child porn.
Oh, my goodness. I made that for my...
You got
Did you
two
imagine the
whoopies
guy?
on that one.
Can you imagine the guy? He's like, I made that for myself. Anyway.
I didn't make that for a bunch of lesbian cops.
I didn't make that for a bunch of lesbo cops. All right. Here we go, Tom. A lot of food this week. Subway worker shot dead over blank on customer's sandwich. Store owner says. Subway worker shot dead over blank on customer's sandwich, according to the store owner. What do you think, guys?
I know the answer to this one because I occasionally shitpost on Fox 19 on Facebook, and this story was shared. And I actually, the discussion that we just had about increased expectations of our fast food employees came up. Right. I brought it up. And I said, because as I understand it, the Subway worker shot dead over horse ejaculate on customer sandwich. But I know that the true answer is Subway worker shot dead over too much mayo on the sandwich.
That's right. Tom, yeah.
Hold on. Let me finish. Okay. And I said, you know, how did I word it? I don't want to do it wrong, but it was something like, well, who could blame him with the price or with inflation the way that it is? I feel like we should hold our people to higher expectations. And it got so much hate. People were so mad at it to the point where Fox 19 actually deleted my comment.
Really?
Yeah. But it was I got a lot of people were really mad about my comment and it was clearly a joke. It's not like I was like, oh, he totally deserved to be shot for putting too much mayo on a sandwich. That would be a silly thing to say. But my comment was obviously in jest. It was obviously a joke, but they were not having it. Yeah, the tri-state area was not happy with me.
Well, Tom, let me tell you, I've dug into this a little bit. There are some quotes that they probably don't want you to learn about from the shooter. Okay? I don't know if you knew this. So,
you know, I don't read into the stories. I just read the headlines.
Right, yeah, that's the thing. The headline got me, but it's always in the middle of the story. You got to read, you know? You got to go further. So, as we've said, the Subway worker was shot dead over too much mayo on the customer's sandwich, and the shooter admitted to Fox 19 if the worker had only put on too much mustard, they would have blown them where they stood instead of blowing them away.
Why are they telling Fox 19 as if they got the scoop?
Yeah, they got they have to be proud of something, don't they?
I see something in the chat. We know that the real story is there's too much mayo, but Mike in Manitoba said there's too little mayo.
Too little.
And we've now learned the duality of man.
That's it. Dude, can I also say I love the chat because completely I don't know what we were talking about, but completely devoid of context just to see in our chat, not enough mayonnaise. So like potbelly salads are delicious. It's all Chicago. Black person.
Well, you know? Stephicus, she said it was black person for the teen shoots
No, I get it.
kidnapper.
I'm just, it's just funnier to not even think about it. Just go, all right, what's the chat saying? Black
Well,
person,
I like how they accused me
Chicago.
of gaslighting them because I was
Yes,
saying
right.
I was encouraging everybody to go out and like demand higher quality, and
Oh, yeah.
Megabit said Tom's gaslighting us, and Mike said has been for years. Um, I'm out here like I'm the radical. Oh, they're turning the friggin' frogs gay. I'm like discount
That's
Aldi's
true.
brand Alex Jones or whatever. But not even I'm not even like registering at like an Aldi's level Alex Jones. I'm like the Ollie's
Hmm.
bargain bin Alex Jones, right? The one that's
Okay.
not even that the expiration date is way past. I was at the bargain. Speaking of
Oh, I
bargain
see.
bins, I was at the bargain bins and I found these Star Wars cup sets, and they were
Ooh.
like, they had like the Clone Wars. They had the clone for the side
Hmm.
decal or whatever, but like the
Hmm.
actual cups, they're coffee mugs with hot cocoa in them. And the
Oh.
coffee mugs, one of them was Luke versus Darth Vader, and then the other
Hmm.
one was I think it was Jango Fett and Obi-Wan from the prequel trilogy.
Okay.
So I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I have no, I would assume it's from the prequel trilogy because it's got the clone on the top or whatever.
Right.
And finally, I got two of them because I happened to find two of them. I'm like, I'm gonna keep one. I'll give one to my neighbor who also likes Star Wars. So
Hmm.
I brought them home, and then I finally popped it open and I threw them in the dishwasher. And I look at the hot cocoa and it says it says best if used by, because I'm like, well, maybe it's only like a little out of date. Maybe it's like maybe the best by date was just like last year or something. Maybe it's
Hmm.
still probably good because those are just Best Buy, but
Oh,
reality it's
sure.
like 2, 3, 4 years sometimes after. It was like 2011 or something. It was like, it was still in its original package. So I'm like, man, I wish I would have known that like before I opened it. I would have left it in its original package. That's like vintage Star Wars shit. But
Yeah, you should
anyways,
have known. All right, Tom, I'm going to say one without the blanks just to get the joke through. And then I
okay,
got one last one. Okay?
I'm
All right.
prepared.
So, Tom, this story, very serious, as all of them are. Courtroom video shows dad pummel a man accused of killing his son. Okay? Now here's the
Hilarious.
now here's the thing, Tom.
Toasty!
Okay. Courtroom video shows dad pummel a man accused of killing his son. But because no one respects dads, he still only got a world's best dad mug for his efforts.
Toasty!
He got a
But
number
then when
one,
he was
number two dad.
well, here's the thing, Tom. They asked him how he felt about getting the mug after pummeling a guy accused of killing his son. He said, "Well, to be fair, my kid is dead."
I'd feel a lot better if my son wasn't dead.
How, world's best dad. My kid's dead.
I can't possibly be the world's best dad. I know some dads
I don't even know
whose
if I.
sons are still alive.
Yeah, I don't even know if I earned this mug. I don't know.
Who
Yeah.
probably I can think of at least 40 or so dads who are better than
I know it may. I, I know it may sound like I got gypped on this whole thing, but you know what? My son's dead. So.
I hate to laugh at my own joke, but I started laughing, and then the pain in my back shot up.
Oh no!
And it was still funny. I couldn't stop laughing.
Tom,
I can think of at least.
he said,
I can think
he
of
said,
at
"Well,
least
to be fair, my kid is dead, and the cocoa in this mug is." All right, never mind. All right,
it
never
tastes
mind.
like a decade old
Cocoa
at
tastes,
least.
this tastes at least older than my son is dead. All right. Okay, Tom. Here's the last one. You're gonna love this one, just for the headline. You ready? Last
I
one.
am.
Nashville blank club owner. Okay, so it's a type of club owner wearing wearing blank arrested again on blank charges. I know it's a lot of blanks, but this is just the headline. Okay, Nashville blank club owner, so a type of club owner
Mhm.
wearing blank, an apparatus, arrested again on blank charges. So you got 3 blanks. What are we thinking? What are we thinking?
So, Do you still have the previous headline pulled up?
The dad?
Yeah, like the actual
No.
headline.
Oh no! Hold on. I could probably find it though. Hold on. Why?
Because I think I know.
You think you know the dad?
Well, I think I know the head. I think I know, but I want to make sure. What was? Just tell me, what was the dad arrested for in the previous headline?
Oh no! It just said courtroom video shows dad pummel a man accused of killing his son. That was all that was.
He was probably charged. Okay, I would say.
Well, usually they'll give you a little slap on the wrist. Probably do no time, that kind of thing.
I think.
If you watch the video, they kind of let him go a little bit. You know what I mean?
well, he was the number one dad.
That's
Nashville family club owner wearing number one dad shirt arrested again on assaulting his son's murderer. What a very specific charge.
That's really, wow. The connections are crazy. Tom, I'm as great as that answer is. No, Nashville fencing club owner wearing a GPS ankle monitor was arrested again on child sex charge.
None of any of those things seems to go together. Like, that's not something I would never think.
No.
Say any of those things again, and I'll tell you.
Right. Nashville fencing club owner, you'd go, who's a fencing? I mean, who's, right?
Who's
and then you go,
attending?
Wearing, right. And then
children,
who's wearing,
I guess, right?
Yeah. Well, Tom, again, it's great. All you have to do is call some of these people. So I called and I tried to get a quote from the arresting officer. You know what I'm saying? And I said, so officer, do you have an opinion on what this guy did? And he said, well, apparently this fencing club owner doesn't have any respect for boundaries. Fencing.
First of all, Jerry, that's a different type of...
No, Tom. I want to show my notes.
That cop didn't understand what he was doing.
Tom, well, Tom, he had just recovered from jumping in the river and getting child porn off a phone. What do you... So...
and pulling an upset dad off of...
and pulling an upset dad off of a guy who murdered his son. That's right, yeah. Well, so, Tom...
This is like a Guy Ritchie movie. Like, all this stuff is coming together.
I wish I could show my... Dude, I wish I could show my notes, right? Because in my notes, here's what I wrote, literally. Ready for this? The fencing club owner apparently doesn't respect boundaries. Right? And then I wrote underneath, yes, I know it's not that kind of fence. You want to know what kind of fence it is? The child fucking kind.
No, you don't sell children to a fence.
He's a fencing club owner who was arrested again on child sex.
You know what I'm wondering is, like, when you say fencing, like I'm imagining like when you sell illicitly gained goods to you have to sell it to a fence.
You're not thinking with the sword? You're not thinking with the sword?
No, you have to. It's somebody who like buys illicit goods and then then has some. He's a fence. He turns around and he sells them to people who can melt down the gold or who can scrape off the serial number and shit. But they do that with kids, right?
I don't want to make listen.
Which are actually birthmarks.
Right. Here's the thing. I don't want to, I don't want to step on anybody's toes, but he owns and is the head coach of the club. So I'm gonna go with, it's the game. It's the fencing game, and apparently
competition. I wouldn't call it a game.
Well, okay. Shit, man. So the first victim was a 17-year-old male.
Well, it's not even a kid, really.
Who claims he touched? Yeah, he's just an enthusiast. He claimed he touched him during a private lesson, and then he had been arrested on 2 counts of inducing sexual activity by a minor for paying a 15-year-old female student to send him photos and videos of herself. Upon further investigation, he was indicted by a grand jury on 108 counts of alleged sexual crimes, including involving a minor, most of which said fencing is gay, and every time you did that with a kid, it was a crime.
I was gonna, you stole the thunder because that joke's better than mine.
No.
But I was gonna say, when you were talking about the 17-year-old and the private fencing lesson, I was gonna say I kind of like side with the guy because I'm like, if you sign up for private fencing lessons, like I instinctively think that that's like an erotic thing, right? I would never,
Oh, yeah.
I would, if I'm reading through the classifieds and it says, "Would you like to take part in a private fencing lesson?" I'd be like, "That's some gay stuff that we're gonna do.
Yeah.
We're gonna do some gay stuff." And so, like, now this 17-year-old, that's legal in some states, you know. Like you never see
Sure.
like these
All
you
of
never,
Europe, I think.
you never see these predator catcher shows. They never ever say that they're 17 because it's so close.
It's always
and
16
like
or under. Yeah.
it's always got to be like way younger. So I'm like, is it wrong? Yeah, but mostly because it's fencing, right? Like if
Right.
it were like
Right.
anything
Right.
else, tennis is still pretty gay. I still wouldn't. I don't know that. But like
Sure.
basketball lessons, I don't know that I would even. I don't even know if I would bat an eye if I found out
Sure.
a coach was diddling.
You might end up
17-year-old,
batting a couple
you know?
balls, but you know.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't because I can't. I'm
Well,
not athletic, but I would.
right.
I think I would understand if like some coach was diddling a 17-year-old's balls, right?
Sure.
Because that's not gay.
no,
whereas
that's just
fencing
an
is,
activity.
you know. But I don't know. But that's just my opinion. I've read a couple classified ads that were incredibly gay.
Yeah.
Maybe I just have an eye for gay things. Maybe that's what it is.
Can I just say, I think, and I may be wrong on this one, but I think Matt Squash would have enjoyed the last half of the show.
Matt Scott, he hates every part of every episode.
Every part of every show. Maybe we can
All right.
get him back on. Do you think?
Well, he'll come back on, but he'll hate every second of it.
Oh, fantastic.
What do you have that you got to tell these people, Jerry?
Yeah, basically, I did my little spiel in the middle of the show. Keep prepping. I'm not fucking joking. Literally 10,000 cows just all of a sudden died, and then I think another part of the country, like 3,000 sheep died because they were all struck by fucking lightning. So, you know, this is not a joke, people. Like, I understand that, oh, it's not happening to me right now. Look, they're trying to kill you. Get your food, get your house in order, get your spirit in order, and be ready for a really tough next couple of years minimum. But Tom and I will still be here, giving you good old yokes. You know.
We'll be getting back to the paranormal yucks here pretty soon, but
Oh
for
my
now
goodness.
we're gonna continue doing like most of the episode being about the whoobies and then the poorly written jokes that I do. In my
Don't threaten me with a good time.
But yeah, like
Oh yeah,
Gary,
Telegram
he lives
too.
in a,
You know that.
he
Whatever.
lives in a different part of the country than I do, so we are largely unaffected by all the nonsense that's going on because it's very difficult for the feds to get in here and affect us. Because we just don't let them, because we don't respect the coastal elites and the G men, so we just kind of do our own thing. I literally bought a quarter of a cow the other day.
Right.
So I mean that shit doesn't affect us, but I still am prepping as if I lived in one of these coastal states that are being affected by the G men who are trying to take. Yeah, but also.
Well, don't forget too. By the way, Tom, I hate to interrupt you, but
No,
in the
please,
middle of the country, Kansas, Texas, and I don't remember Indiana maybe.
Mhm.
Texas, 85% of their wheat is rotten and unusable. Kansas, 1 out of every 3 bushels of wheat unusable, and Indiana, like 50%, 60%.
Yeah.
So when you consider the trade embargo or whatever, you know, you can't get your wheat out of the breadbasket of the world, Russia, Ukraine, blah, blah, blah. And then all of ours are dying. And then you have a drought. Like, for example, I follow a number of prepping, homesteading type channels, and they're in the Ozarks and also in Tennessee. They're getting 100-degree weather with 0 rain in the last 3 weeks, basically.
Yeah, what's up
and
with
I watched.
that? Have you noticed
I don't
that?
know.
Like it's not rained here. I have a thing where I would prefer rainwater to water my flowers, not because it's cheap or whatever, it's free, but because
Right.
it's it's so much better
No
for the
fluoride.
plants, right?
Yeah.
It's so much better for your
fluoride.
plants. And they
Yeah.
do so much better when they are rained on rather than when they have tap water.
Absolutely.
But it's not rained like at all.
No.
And it's gotten to the point where I've noticed where I'm like, what's up with that? Because I've left my miter saw. I have my miter saw back because when we were building that big thing, I covered it with this tarp that I have that's designed for covering shit or whatever for camping. But like I covered it, like it hasn't rained, and so like I haven't really lost any ground by like leaving my grill uncovered, but covering my miter saw. I've not had to cover this. I've not had to worry about some of the papers that I've left out here. Like, yeah, that's weird that it hasn't rained. But you know what that is? It's because China has weather. They can control the weather, and that's like.
Yeah, I wouldn't even blame just China, frankly. I think it's our own government because if you can't
it's not DARPA, it's something else. What is it called?
Oh, isn't that it?
Is it?
Anyway, no, I think it is. I think it is DARPA. And if you look at it rationally, right, if you're trying to control the population, you say to yourself, okay, well, we know that there are more guns than people in this country. No matter what we do, they're going to have them. So we have to try to kill them. If they don't all take the jab, especially in certain communities where they're rightfully suspicious of the government, then they may be armed without the jabs. So then what do? Well, you have to starve them. That way they'll just kill each other, and anybody who's left over is so tired and broken and desperate that they'll accept whatever we give them. That's, to me, what makes the most sense. So, I mean, look, our own government's been chemtrailing us for years. Why does it have to be China? You know what I mean? Like, it could be, sure, but am I to believe that China's the only one? No. I mean,
I just remember reading the article that specifically said China has the power
to
alter the weather.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And that's what that's the thing though. Like I watched a video where the news, in a positive sense, because Australia some years back had a drought and they changed the weather to bring rain. And they said, no, this is what we did when this Middle East country had a problem. This one had, basically it was the Australian government, their dark whatever, saying, oh no, we do this all the time. So that's not even the chemtrails. That's just changing the
machinery that does that. Yeah.
Right. So what I'm saying is, it's like, well, if Australia can pull it off to bring themselves rain, first of all, what do you make of the, biblical flooding going on in the one area of Australia that's like mostly outback and shit where they can't basically, jab and control them, so soak them up and kill them, make their homes so moldy they can't use them, and then bring them no relief. That to me, all right, if Australia can do it, I believe China can do it, sure. But why would we need like the U.S.? What I mean, they're trying to kill us regardless. Like inflation, jabs, everything came from us, like at least in part, right? Why wouldn't they just, weather-wise do it to us? Because imagine if you and I, like out of all of this show, they said, oh, these crazy guys believe that the U.S. government's trying to change the weather so we're all dying, whatever. And it's like, that's the one thing people wouldn't believe. They believed that we weren't making jokes when we were. They tried to, get us in trouble for all kinds of stuff. But then they'd be like, oh, look, they're totally crazy. They think someone can control, when they admit it all the time.
Yeah.
Like in various ways.
They just don't want to talk about. Like a lot of these things that they say, a lot of these things that they say are ridiculous. Like there is legitimate accounts of that, where they've said that they do such and such, and like you can present it to, and it just goes back to the whole. I think of my mom, right, when she got the vaccine or whatever, and I was telling her, I'm like, I'm not getting the fucking vaccine. This is like last year. I said, there's nothing they can do to get me the vaccine, and she was like, but she was so brainwashed at that point. And a lot of people think of brainwashing as like all of a sudden they turn into some robot or whatever. Oh, I am an automaton. I just regurgitate. But it's not even that. It's that she had heard these talking points over and over again that were not our talking points. They were the made up talking points, like the whole Pizzagate thing. But the same thing with the vaccine. She's like, what do you think you're gonna? I still haven't grown an extra arm from getting the vaccine. I haven't grown an extra eye in my forehead from getting the vaccine. I said, well, nobody is saying that you're going to. Your government has said that that's the thing, but none of us are saying that. We're saying you need to be careful because it's going to affect your reproductive system, probably your cardiovascular system. All the things that we said that it was going to affect are like the things that now they're like, well. So yeah, it did those things. It did affect your
10
DNA.
pages of everything under the sun that could hurt you.
So, but no, and you know, you look back at those times where she's like, "Oh, ha 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 ha! What do you think? I'm gonna grow an extra fucking arm? What are you crazy? You crazy person!" But now I'm like, well, no, I never said that personally. No rational person I know ever said that. It's the government that said that we would say that, but that's not what we said.
Right.
But yeah, but all the things that we say, there's like legitimate documented, and people, you know, we always laugh, we cut it up, we have a good time with it or whatever. We say some ridiculous things, but all the things that we say, and we're like, ha ha ha, tee hee hee, the government controls the weather. They control the fucking weather. I mean, it's there. It's, you know, Saudi Arabia recently in an article they were like, well, we were having a drought and we needed to not have a drought anymore, so we changed the weather so that we could have water. And I'm like, that to me sounds like you're controlling the weather, right? And then they're like, don't be ridiculous. We're not controlling the weather. You know,
that's not how that works. And it's like, well, how would you describe? Oh, Tom. Okay, look. I know we have to go. But we're now at 699 subscribers.
Are we?
Yeah.
Somebody left.
Somebody said, nope, no more. Can't do it. Well, I guess they just proved our point. Tom, someone heard everything else we had to say, and they went, governments control the weather. I'm out of here. This is ridiculous.
This is absurd. They actually expect me to believe that that the government controls the weather. You had me more like you had me at abortion doctors.
you had me at
change the weather. No, thank you. I can't get behind that. All right, Jerry, let's get the fuck out of here before we get down to 620 subscribers. Thank you guys all for tuning in, and we will see you all next week.
I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.